The Marcia Week Show. It's the Marcia Week Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Week Show. It's the Marcia Week Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices unite. Educate minds, elevate sight. It's the Marcia Week Show. Talk truth, build roots, stories unfold. Motivate change, mobilize is the mode, that's the MR code. Hey! We growing, we know it.
Gentlemen, good evening, boys and girls. You are watching the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. And here on the Marcia Week Show, we do what we call Emma. We educate. Say it with me if you know it. We educate, we motivate, we mobilize, and we agitate. That's what we do right here on the Marcia Week Show, and we are excited to bring to you this episode on the Marcia Week Show called Who Checks Power? We're going to look at Barbados, Trinidad, Dominica, Caricom. We are going to travel. We're going to travel the region tonight. We will have an MP from Guyana, and we have someone from one of the leading opposition parties from Dominica, and they're going to be on the program tonight, and they will be sharing their views on the Prime Minister of Trinidad's address to CARICOM. So that's coming up at about 7:30 tonight. We're also going to be looking at what happened in the House, with Sonia Browne. What happened there? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Yesterday was an eventful day. We're going to talk about that as well tonight. And we also have Attorney Corey Greenidge here, who's a candidate in the Democratic Labour Party. He's going to be on tonight, and he's going to continue to speak on the amendment to the Constitution, read the crossing of the floor, expelling of members from political parties, etc. So we're going to be doing a whole lot of things happening tonight. So we are going to kindly ask you to like and to share. But before we go into anything else, I have to say hello to everybody. Yeah. Monica Ince, good night. Good night, Tyrone. Good night, Tyrone. How are you doing, Tyrone? How was your day? How was your day? How was your day? How was your day, Sandra? And Beverly, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Whoa, that's it. Nobody else is on. Why it's not showing me anybody else? No more comments. It's not moving. Okay, those of you who know how to pray, you pray, guys. I know how it is. I know what's going on, but we're not going to think there's a problem with the comments. But we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving. Are you guys having any challenges out there technically? Anybody having any challenges out there? We're not seeing I'm not seeing the comments aren't showing up, but we're going to keep moving. I know how tonight is going to be, but that's okay. Now on the screen, folks, I could only call the names that I'm seeing: Sherry, Beverly, Sandra, Tyrone, Tyrone, Monica. A special good evening to everybody who's on. But what you just saw on the screen was about Maturo Primary School in Kenya, and we went there. Dave and I went there a year and a little bit last January, and we met these children at Maturo Primary School. Some of you would have remembered because we came and we showed you some of the pictures, etc. And we saw these beautiful children, and we were told by the principal, the teachers, the family members, etc., that these children, they generally have one meal a day. And so, I was really moved on my heart. They wanted to start a breakfast program. And I thought to myself, wow, it'd be a great idea to see if, though we have children in Barbados and in the rest of the region that we need to help. It just, we thought, what, it'd be such a wonderful gesture if we could help to provide breakfast for them. I asked them, what would be breakfast for you guys? They said a cup of porridge, sorghum porridge, or what we call guinea corn. And they said if we get the guinea corn, we get the parents come in and they will make the porridge. As you can see, they're making the porridge there, and that's it. And so that just a cup of porridge allows the children to have two meals. So they get a meal when they come to school, and they get a meal when they get home for dinner. And so we have joined in partnership with the school there, the Maturo Primary School. And you might say, but Marcia, how do you know this legit? Well, we're working in conjunction with Lumumba, PLO Lumumba, who is one of the leaders there in Africa. And I wrote a book, as you can see here, and the book is When We Lose Our Fear, They Lose Their Power. And that phrase, actually, I got that phrase from Kenya, the young people in Kenya. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to use all the proceeds of the book to help the children in Kenya. So when you buy a book, when you buy one of my books, that all of that, all of the sale of the book goes straight to buying the sorghum and buying mainly the sorghum, really, and the sugar. And I think they provide everything else for the children, and that's them lining up to come to school, to be in school. And I've been told by the principal that since we started it last year, that the attendance at school has increased, right? As it should. And so with one goal apart. So we're just kindly asking you. You can buy a book or two books. We're trying to sell as many as possible. You could just go on and just buy a whole set and give them out to friends. Or someone came to my house this morning, passed by, and said, "Marcy, I want to give you some money for the children, in Kenya." You could do that as well. Up to you. All right. But yeah, so help us out, help us out. We are seeking for the next 7 weeks, for the entire school term, the rest of the school term. We're looking for, I'm seeing Davis, just give me a second here. And I don't know what's happening. There's 700 students. 700 students. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening with the comment section. I don't know if Dave is having that same challenge. Only 6 or 7 comments are coming up. We're not seeing your comments, guys. I'm not sure what's going on, so you have to bear with me. 700 students, and we're looking for about 1,300 US over the next 7 weeks for porridge. All right, just 1,300 US. And I don't mind you buying books and sharing it out with others. That would be a great gesture. Yes? Okay, wonderful. I know, guys, I'm sorry. The last comment that I'm seeing here is 7:06. From 7:06 p.m. That was the last comment that I'm seeing. And I know that that's unusual. So go ahead, somebody, and make a comment and let me see. Dave, can you comment on it and let me see what's happening? Let's see what's going on. Because the comment section is very important. We read your comments, and there's something that is definitely happening. At Sherry Johnson, I saw your comment at 7. Yeah, the comments aren't coming in. Okay, so I just saw your comment there, Dave, at 7:12. Okay, but no. Okay, I see humble soul. Yes, okay, all right. That's wonderful. So they are coming in. They are coming in. Yes, okay. I feel better because I want to make sure that we have your comments there. All right. Well, folks, I love a good laugh, right? And so today, or I would say this evening, after taking in the whole thing that happened at the taking in everything, watching everything that occurred during the the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago during her speech at Caricom, and then seeing the reporters trying to get an interview from Miss Motley. I'm just going to preempt that Dave could just show them this picture before I move on. I love a good laugh. So I was on a chat, a WhatsApp chat, and somebody said, "Oh, there she goes, gathering up her petticoat and running and touching her pearls." And all of a sudden, this image came into my mind, and I went and we did some things. Let's put it like that. I had such a good laugh. It's so good to have. Have you ever seen the Prime Minister not willing to take an interview? Anybody, if you have seen her on the world stage running from reporters, don't want to speak to, I don't talk, I don't. Huh? Anybody ever heard her like that? I don't talk before meetings. I don't. When I say I don't. Anybody saw her running and with a petticoat and clutching her pearls? I have a feeling. Anybody? Yeah, it's good to have a good laugh sometimes. It's good to have a good laugh. No comment. No comment for somebody who always has a comment. Listen, we can't get this. We can't get her to stay home. We always hear her commenting on the world stage. But this evening, no comment. No comment. Oh, oh. Oh my Lord! But we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back to that. Oh, Dave is showing it. Dave. Go ahead, Dave. Show a little bit of it. Hello. Oh, Dave. No, we're not gonna get it. You do? No, I had to laugh. I've never heard her lost for words. I've never heard. She always wants to comment. But go ahead. Kamla got her tongue. Go ahead.
I wanted to know if you would be willing to share your thoughts on Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar's speech yesterday.
No, because I'm going to a meeting.
Would you be willing to speak with us sometime later?
I'm not sure.
Do you think that her...
Then, so don't try anymore.
We will look for an opportunity to speak with you a little later.
Yeah, the meetings don't start. I don't talk in advance of meetings.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister.
All right, take care. All the best. All right, Simon. All the two Simons.
All right.
All right, thanks, sir.
Not a problem.
Who knew that we would see our beloved Prime Minister running from a report shop?
No, because
She
I'm going to a
always
meeting.
runs to a report shop.
Later?
I'm not sure.
Do you think that her...
Then, so don't try anymore.
We will look for an opportunity to speak with you a little later.
Yeah, the meetings don't start. I don't talk in advance of meetings.
I'm done. Listen, they put back up her picture with her running and clutching her pearls and hanging onto her petticoat. Listen. Adrian, I can't put up that comment. She's got her pearls in her hand. And she said, no comment. No comment. I'm done. You know, it's like a man and a woman. And I'm done. That's a meme for when you want to break up, right? That's a meme you use when you want to break up. I'm done. But it's good to have a good laugh. I mean, she's funny. She's also funny, and things. So that was funny. That was funny. Oh Lordy, I tell you, there'll be lots of memes about that. That was hilarious. It's good to have a good laugh. All right, but let's go to I want to ask you a question tonight, guys. And Dave, can you put up the picture with Sonia Browne? How many of you saw Sonia Browne in Parliament? How many of you saw it? In fact, Dave, what I should have said is, do you have the video ready? Sonia Browne's video? How many people laugh? It's good to have a good laugh. If you're a public figure, you have to know that they make jokes on me too. Yeah? So people laughing. It's good. It's good to have a good laugh, man. It's good to have we're going to show it again. Don't worry. For all of those who are late, we're going to show it again so they can laugh. All right. So here is Dr. Sonia Browne. And this is the Constitution Amendment Bill. This is the hearing in the lower house, and that was yesterday, Tuesday. All right, go right ahead, Dave.
The fruitful crossing. We have seen the late Right Honorable Owen Arthur cross to become an independent. And anybody in here that would say he did not make valuable contributions in Parliament as an independent till he came upon, can't remember if he ran the elections after that, would be lying. That was a valuable crossing, Mr. Speaker. I took a little time this morning, I really couldn't sleep last night, thinking about this bill, and I remembered us discussing the Parliamentary Reform Commission report, which I know the House has, if I'm correct. And I'm seeing a part, and I would like your embellishment to read the part that jumped out at me. And it said, aside from potential issues of the constitutional right to freedom of association, the right to cross the floor is an important element of opposition in a democratic society. Specifically, a parliamentarian may feel that he can no longer associate with or support a political party of which he has been a member. It is in the interest of democracy that he should be free to do so. If the electorate is dissatisfied with his decision, that will be, and often is, reflected in the next general election. And this was the majority of the members here that said this, not the minority. I am bearing these things in mind when I have to think about what this legislation means. And I think the Parliamentary Reform Commission was an important commission and it served a purpose. Then, when I went on reading this morning on the Google, that's the doctor for everything, I came across, and you should know about this, Mr. Speaker, the Commonwealth Latimer House Principles, and I'm sure you shook your head, so you're very familiar. And I read certain things, and part I was reading, it was associated with what was happening in Trinidad and crossing like that. But this is a Commonwealth. I think, as far as I remember, we are part of the Commonwealth. It started with preserving the independence of parliamentarians, that the freedom of speech and debates or proceedings in Parliament ought not to be impeached or questioned in any court or placed out of Parliament. It says at number 2, security of members during this parliamentary term is fundamental to parliamentary independence, and therefore, A, the expulsion of members from Parliament as a penalty for leaving their parties, i.e. crossing the floor, should be viewed as a possible infringement of members' independence. Anti-defection measures may be necessary in some jurisdictions to deal with corrupt practices. It goes on in B, laws allowing for the recall of members during their elected term should be viewed with caution as a potential threat to independence of members. C, the cessation of membership of a political party of itself should not lead to the loss of a member's seat. Now you smile, you're familiar with what I'm saying. It struck me also, and I'm asking the question of myself and the rest of the House, do we have the right to determine by constitutional reform the way forward for other parties? The Barbados Labour Party will not be in government forever. It will come back, it will go, it will come back, that's just history. Do we have the right as a parliamentary group to determine what other political parties do, how they treat their own in terms of crossing and everything? Why is this a constitutional reform subject?
So that was Sonia Browne, Dr. Sonia Browne, and she is MP for St. Philip North with the Barbados Labour Party. And yesterday she stood up in Parliament, and she was the only one who did not vote on this particular bill. There were some others who had objections, but she's the only one at the end of her speech that it was very, very clear that she was not in agreement. And I want to take a couple minutes just to speak about Dr. Sonia Browne. But I know that some of you are really bothered by what's happening in the comment section. I want to say to you that we very much knew that something was going to happen tonight. And this tells you what the level of challenge that this show is putting up to the powers that be. I said to someone, look, you're going to see what they're going to try. They're going to find some avenue, something to try to stop us tonight. And it's a comment section because they know that people are going to be engaged and so on because they're idol. They put up this idol in this person, and the world, the emperor has no clothes. The emperor has no clothes. Tonight, people all over the world are seeing the emperor has no clothes, and they don't want us to function tonight. I say to us, ignore it. If you can't comment in the comment section, if there's something that you want to send to me, WhatsApp me that you want me to read. But don't get yourself don't get yourself caught up in not being able to comment. All right? That's all part of it. What I'm sincerely asking you to do, fight back for us, please. Can you go ahead and like and share? Like and share, please. Please do. But let me go quickly before my other guests come. I want to talk about Sonia Browne. I did a post about just an hour ago. It's an hour ago on Facebook, 1 hour ago. And I'm going to tell you how many persons. 6,376 views in 1 hour. Do you understand that? In an hour, 6,376 views. That's very unusual for my page. It means that there's something about what she's done that is resonating with people. Okay? There's something that Dr. Sonia Browne has done that is resonating with people. Now, I just want to read you something that I wrote, but was inspired by, I have to say, by Mr. Bob. Mr. Alvin Bob sent me a little post earlier this morning. And with him sending me that post, I had in my mind, I said, you know what? I must write something on this. And I went off doing something else and forgot about it. But here it is. Dave, if you could put up, I don't know if you have let me make sure, get the actual picture with the poem on the screen. Thank you very, very much. Yes. It says, are you a Sonia? Are you a Sonia when the room is full and everyone falls in line? Do you? When power says yes and conscience says wait, which one do you obey? There were 30 MPs. One is the Prime Minister. And one woman stood. Not shouting, not insulting, not begging for applause. She stood alone and said, I do not agree. Not because it was popular or safe, but because she believed it was wrong. Are you a Sonia? A Sonia is not a hero worshiper. A Sonia is not intimidated by titles. A Sonia does not trade conviction for comfort. A Sonia thinks her own thoughts, speaks her own mind, looks power in the eye and does not blink. Crossing the floor, freedom of association, constitutional rights. A Sonia reads the law and defends it. Even if she stands alone. So I ask you, are you Sonia? Because democracy doesn't die from noise. It dies from obedience. And this country does not need more spectators. It needs more Sonias. And I want to leave you with that, guys. I want to leave you with that because, and I ask you to go to my page, the Marcia Week Show, and register your, say something to Dr. Sonia Browne. Say something encouraging. I want to say to us Barbados that we should never, never let anybody who goes out there and stands up on behalf of people and on behalf of our rights, do not let them stand alone. Do not let them stand alone. Please, I say go out there and encourage them. Somebody says here, I am a Sonia. Encourage them. Write them something encouraging. That's why we set up with Mr. Thorne, Mr. Ralph Thorne. And I've always supported Sonia. Some of you see her in a different way, but I am looking at where she's at. This is what she's doing with what she's able to do. Are you a Sonia this evening? Sonia Perk says, I am a Sonia. Okay, so visit the Marcia Week Show page and say something nice to her. Make a nice comment if you can. And if you can't, say nothing then. Just leave her alone. And just pass it along. Okay, share it along. Okay. Thank you all so very much, guys. We are getting ready to go into another segment of our show tonight, and we have two wonderful gentlemen with us, and they are Sons of the Caribbean. They are NP Sharma Solomon, and he is from Guyana, and he is in one of the leading opposition parties there, and Dr. Fontaine, and he's from Dominica. And he is a leader of the leading opposition party in Dominica. He's no stranger to us. And they are going to join us tonight. Let me just welcome them while Dave sets up the clip from the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's welcome Dr. Fontaine. Good night, Dr. Fontaine.
Very good night to you, Marcia. It's great to be back with you. And also, good evening to your guests. It's great to be back on your program.
Yes, wonderful. And we welcome for the first time, Sharma Solomon. You're an MP for one of the leading opposition parties in Guyana. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's good to be on your program. Good evening to your listening audience and to the guests. Good evening.
Yes, and I want to thank Honorable Coretta McDonald for making the connection for us. Dr. Fontaine, I heard this speech that you're seeing. We're setting up here on the screen, and right away I thought of Dominica. And as you know, I was in Dominica, and so we're going to play a little bit of the speech if Dave is ready. And then we're going to go right into it. Go ahead, Dave. Thank you.
Opportunity for a short time to speak openly and constructively for the benefit of all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. To date, it remains very unsettling to me that in October 2022, the then sitting TNT government coordinated the kidnapping of a Trinidad citizen from another Caricom state. He was visiting another Caricom state, and he was kidnapped. Our Supreme Court has ruled that he was kidnapped. He was placed in handcuffs, transported to the airport, and then back to Trinidad. I think an RSS plane was used to transport him. He was kidnapped. And then I was opposition leader. I wrote to the Caricom Secretariat, that's 2022. 2022. I wrote to the Secretariat of the Caricom asking, what happened? How could you have facilitated the kidnapping of a TNT citizen Please let us know what was happening and how it happened. To date, that was 2022, I have not had a response from the Secretariat. So I say to Caricom, that response, non-response, it may be the result of poor management, lax accountability, or most concerning, that one ceases to be recognized by the Secretariat as a member citizen of Caricom when not in government. And so I want to reaffirm that the Caricom should be the voice for all, not just for the governing parties, not just for those in the Caribbean who form government parties. And so I'd ask you, we have to march out a way forward. Yes, we won our elections. Yes, we are the majority parties, all of us here, all the heads. But we were all in opposition once, and we may all be in opposition again. But we must work together for all of our nations, all our citizens, whether they belong to the governing party or whether they belong to the opposing parties. So that, I say, still concerns me. How one of my citizens was kidnapped in another CARICOM state, and when I inquired, the Secretariat could not give me an answer up to today. That should never happen. CARICOM as an organization should not be misused by anyone to benefit or protect political parties and friends affiliated with the incumbent government. CARICOM governments and their political parties who actively involve themselves in the domestic and political affairs of member states to assist sister or brother parties cannot then expect that when we come together that we must hug up each other. When in the last election one, you sent your missives, you sent your people from your party to openly campaign against another political party. I'm sorry I have to share this, but it hurt me a lot when I saw it transpire within the last set of elections in the CARICOM. So CARICOM governments, if we are to hug up each other and cooperate, it cannot be that last week you sent your person down to St. Vincent or to Jamaica or to wherever, to Guyana. You sent your political persons, not technocrats. You sent them down to campaign. I don't think that is right, because today I will have to face you. We are not red, and we are not yellow, we are not blue, we are not green. We are all CARICOM persons, and we must give that respect to every single one. And no leader here sitting would want another CARICOM head of state to send people to campaign in your domain. That should never happen. So that has led to what I say, unneeded factional divisions and private conflicts between regional leaders and political parties. And of course, it hinders the progress of the CARICOM. As we move forward, I congratulate other speakers before me, and I'm in tune with what you're saying. So I will keep mine down a bit because we had a great discourse from Prime Minister Holness as former chair. And I want to say, Trinidad and Tobago, like you, sir, we respect the sovereign right of CARICOM members with respect to your choice for national security for your nation and respect to your choice for foreign policy sovereignty. And we expect no less from others. We took very...
Yes, thank you so much. But Dave, you can leave it right there, please. And just before we go into the discussion, I'm seeing the messages. I know you're having some challenges, but I'm going to ask you to continue to like and share. We know what is going on. We're fighting our own battles here in Barbados, gentlemen, in suppressing voices, and so that's part of what's going on here. But we are going to ask everybody, please like and share. You fight, you don't complain. We're going to fight. Keep liking and sharing. All right. Well, let's. I'm going to go straight to Dr. Fontaine. I know you would have heard this speech. We still just wanted to play a part of it, so that we just refresh our minds. What are your views? What's your general views as someone who is in the opposition in Dominica? You heard this speech. You're looking at this audience. You're looking at the responses in the audience. What's going through your mind, sir? Dr. Fontaine.
Well, good night again. And let me just say, I'm quite pleased that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago had the gumption to say what we've all been feeling and experiencing as opposition parties. And I'm very happy that it's coming from the sitting head of state. That adds a certain weight, a certain legitimacy to it. And we're very thankful that she was able to so eloquently state the case on behalf of the parties, because we have experienced this here in Dominica. And I'm very happy that finally we're hearing it at that level. So it does not appear that we're just, crying foul in the opposition. So it's good to see that she stood firm and she made it very, very clear. And in time, I'll share our own experience in Dominica. But initially, I just want to say I'm very happy that she was able to do it. It carries a lot of credibility, a lot of weight. And everything that she said is certainly on point, because we have a similar experience here in Dominica.
Yes, thank you so much. And we're going to go into it a little more in depth. But we have Honorable Shamar Solomon from Guyana. What are Guyanese saying? What are your counterparts in your opposition party? They heard this. What is Guyana saying after hearing this today?
We have to concur with such sentiments, certainly. And let me just thank you again for having me on, because I think it's important as we see these sort of regional discourse taking place. And as member states ourselves and as opposition parties that we are now, it is important that these entities such as Caricom understand beyond their existence what their real roles are. And I think the Prime Minister certainly demonstrated as someone who expressed being in opposition, now in government, and herself being on party, having some time in the opposition, to experience when legitimate things of national importance are taking place. And the role of Caricom is not recognized to ensure that it can play a part to not just intervene, but to ensure that it settle those issues in a very amicable way. I think the Prime Minister demonstrated that for those things to happen, we have to have a level of sincerity. And we have to have a level of professional approach to these sort of matters, and not interests of parties and interests of governments in power. Because she rightly said, at some point, these same governments will be out of power, and at some point, they were in opposition. And I think it's important that for CARICOM to recognize that role of a mediator must be one that builds on fairness and one that is built on trust. And in this regard, I can say to you, over the past 10 years, as a political party, the APNU, the PNC, we have recognized CARICOM as a partner in relation to issues that benefit member states and not the issues that benefit CARICOM, which is to see that CARICOM plays that. I can say this as one of the opposition parties that we were part of creating CARICOM with our founder leader, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. What that vision for CARICOM represented is also what Prime Minister just expressed, one where it must play a role to bring the CARICOM nations together. And for it to do that, it must be one that it could be trusted and not one that acts in any biased manner.
Yes. Wow. I was so happy when you shared that with me today and reminded me that Guyana played such an important role in CARICOM, the forming of CARICOM. In fact, that's where the head office is. It's actually in Guyana. But let me go to Dr. Fontaine from Dominica. Dr. Fontaine, one of the things that the Prime Minister from Trinidad and Tobago mentioned was about parties in opposition. So you're for example, you've been a party in opposition for about 5 terms, right? And you've had issues in your country. You're seeking for an agency to appeal to. You write to CARICOM, as did the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Did you get a response from Caricom?
We've written to Caricom on several different occasions, and in particular, we've written to Caricom with respect to the lack of free and fair elections in Dominica, the persistent stealing of elections by the incumbent administration. And in fact, in 2014 it was myself, along with the then leader of the opposition, Honorable Lennox Linton, who was the leader of our party at that time. We actually traveled to a CARICOM meeting because we were not able to get them in writing. We actually traveled all the way to Guyana to a CARICOM meeting. And on the morning when we arrived when we were trying to enter the facilities, our government had informed the government of Guyana that we were coming, and they sent the police to escort us out. We're not even given an audience. We're not even allowed. We were hoping to at least be at the meeting and talk to some of the heads there. We were denied this opportunity because at the time it was, I believe it was President Granger at the time, who was the president. He refused to allow us to go into the meeting. We also have written to CARICOM on different occasions as well, and the more serious one had to do with the time that CARICOM sent the RSS troops into Dominica on the eve of an election. And not only were those troops sent to Dominica on the eve of an election, but that very same night before the election, they opened fire with live ammunition, the RSS troops, on one of the major strongholds of our party in the Salisbury constituency. That resulted in the shooting of 2 individuals. Fortunately, they both survived. But it was basically persons went to vote under duress because of CARICOM. More recently, we wrote to CARICOM about, again, the threatened use of RSS. This time we're going to have a protest almost a year ago in March of 2025. And when we found out that the Prime Minister had again written to the RSS, we wrote to CARICOM. This time, Prime Minister Mia Mottley was the chairperson. To her credit, she responded. And because we drew to her attention what happened in 2019, and we said under no circumstances were the people of Dominica going to allow the RSS to come back into Dominica under those kinds of pretenses. And at the end of the day, again, much to her credit, she withheld the use of the RSS forces on that occasion. But that was one of the few times that we had success. Other than that, our voices have gone basically on deaf ears. So we see that CARICOM has very little interest in looking at the interests of the opposition parties, and the focus always has been on the leaders. And now you have a kind of a good boys club, if you like, a few leaders that align along party lines, and they seem to be throwing their support there. We've also had the incidences of in the operatives from Barbados coming into Dominica during elections.
Really? You have that?
Absolutely.
Hold a minute. So hold on. So folks, don't skip over that so much, because we saw the operatives on as they were boarding planes, boarding a plane to St. Vincent and the Grenadines just the other day. These are people who it's alleged that they work in the Prime Minister's office, and they were red. They were leaving Barbados, representing the Barbados Labour Party, and being alleged that they work in the office of the Prime Minister, going to St. Vincent. But you're telling me that there have been operatives from Barbados in Dominica. Tell us more about that.
Yes, absolutely. Both in the 2014 and in the 2019 election. And by virtue of the same individuals, Dominica uses the same political consultants, Hartley Henry, for example, that has been used. And his persons, they came clearly supporters of the Labour Party, and embedded themselves in some constituencies for several weeks in the run-up to elections, and doing a lot of the dirty work on the ground. So we have seen that in Dominica. We have been the victims of this, and this is something that we are very, very much concerned about.
Yes, even as you prepare for an election, hopefully, probably in the next year or 2 years, Well, let me go to Honorable Sharma, MP Sharma Solomon. I know that in the election, is it the 2020 election?
Certainly.
Repeat?
Yes.
In the 2020 elections, there was a lot of allegations of the role that Caricom played in that election. Some felt that the role that they had too much of a hand, um, perceived hand in the elections or the outcome of the elections in Guyana. Do you want to make any comment on that, or just on the fact that you know sometimes you might have some people traveling from one country to the next to help another party? What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I want to respect what Dr. Fontaine would have said with regards to how deeply involved we can see operatives from member state. What we saw in Guyana on the elections of 2020 was the actual involvement of heads of state. And I think Prime Minister Bissessar made that point of why it is important to have technocrats to be involved in these sort of settlements and dispute. And in essence, what CARICOM is now making itself to be looked at, if you look at it from a more realist perspective, from one of seeing at which leadership is being more focused than regional institution itself, and how that could bring resolution to issues. I think that's what we missed in 2020. And what we saw was a more involvement and pronouncements. You had Dr. Ralph Gonsalves even making then Prime Minister towards the then president, take your licks like a man. Those sort of behaviors came directly from heads of government, which made it very difficult to distinguish if CARICOM was actually acting as a mediator and in good faith. And I think that in itself, as the opposition parties, though we recognize the importance of CARICOM, we have much respect and desire to ensure that regional integration works. And what becomes of regional integration, it sometimes lends itself to the sort of question when you see that sort of approach. And in a more structural, realist perspective of looking at how CARICOM is perceived, you now see more of the individuals, not necessarily the regional organization. And now you see a more international, as we see this issue with Venezuela unfolding of recent approach. So that individual of those prime ministers and who become the prime minister, we saw played itself out very, very distinctly as it relates to as it related to the 2020 elections. And those sort of behaviors, I believe, as you listen to what was just expressed by Doc in the Dominica situation, it allows for that sort of bold behavior of intrusiveness where people believe they can get involved in the actual political outcome of countries. So I think CARICOM needs to recalibrate. I think we are operating in a new century, in a new time, but still maintain its foundation of ensuring that its member states are given the sort of representation that they can build trust, that they can rely on CARICOM for amicable resolutions of very important issues, whether those are internal elections or, as we see at this moment, we have regional disputes and even international attention with our bilateral partner or multilateral partners, whether it's the US or the issue that is taking place in Venezuela. So I think those things are now compounding themselves in so many ways that CARICOM cannot see the individuals, but must see regionalism as most important to ensuring that we build back that issue of trust. And after 2020, the elections, the opposition in particular, would want to see that regional approach towards the resolution and ensuring things are dealt with and not on the level of personal involvement of a prime minister or of a president, but more so of the organization and ensuring that it works to bring resolution.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Very interesting. Gentlemen, there was one of the allegations that was levied at Caricom by Kamla Persad-Bissessar. She said that since 2022, a Trinidad and Tobago citizen was removed from a particular country. Well, we know it's Barbados, so we can say it's Barbados. It's a fact. She's speaking about Barbados because we know of the incident, right? She says that the Trinidad court ruled it as a kidnapping, which I did research, and that's what they ruled it as. The Prime Minister of Trinidad said she wrote to CARICOM Secretariat asking for clarity. To this day, no response. She also mentioned that she believes the RSS was used in that. I know that these are allegations. I don't know if you know much about it, but for one CARICOM state, when you really think about it, Dr. Fontaine, one CARICOM country to be accusing another CARICOM country of kidnapping their citizen and using the regional forces to do such. Can you make any comment on that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this is very serious. This is a very serious development, and you wonder why it is that in that case, CARICOM chose to remain silent, and that's what is extremely frustrating about all of this. The fact that there is zero response from CARICOM. They seem not to be interested in responding to people. As I said, given the number of times that we have written, and only once we have been successful in getting some kind of response. And I think it's because at that time we were very serious in terms of the language that was used in addressing the chairman of CARICOM. But I think it is extremely disrespectful that, especially coming from a head of state to CARICOM, and it is just ignored like there is nothing. I mean, there must be at least, even in basic protocol, an acknowledgement of receipt, at a very basic level. So it seems that there's a fundamental failure within CARICOM, and it does appear that this has everything to do with the way the politics is lining up. And clearly that has to be corrected. That has to be fixed.
And I'll ask Dr. I'll ask Honorable Solomon the same question, because the more I think about it, sir, for one, can you imagine we're supposed to be this united group, and one country is accusing the next of kidnapping a citizen, and when they ask questions about it, the secretariat didn't even respond to them. You are in Guyana, and that's CARICOM was formed in Guyana. What are your thoughts about that?
And this is what makes it very unfortunate. Not only the establishment, but the secretariat hosted in Guyana. We have had our very own experiences as a nation visiting fellow CARICOM countries and having our citizens harassed in prison, have special benches set aside and prepared for them, and even accusations of kidnapping because of the way we had citizens who took matters all the way to the CCGN1 because of the treatment of fellow CARICOM states towards Guyanese citizens. And again, those things, because individual responses and the way CARICOM is structured, only you see at the heads of government when serious decisions are made, meeting, and that occurs only once a year on an emergency basis. So to ensure you have CARICOM that could become more modern with appreciating that these sort of behaviors are not only unacceptable, but when reported must be taken very seriously, as the Prime Minister said. And as our own experiences go, we can appreciate why they should be taken very seriously. Because as I give the example of a more structural, realist perspective, Guyana is now very advanced in terms of its economic. And those sort of situations will change not because Caricom structurally have changed, but because Guyana is changing. And it's unfortunate because the Prime Minister made that point today for you, tomorrow for me. And if we want to see a very progressive and integrated region, when a complaint such as what was level of kidnapping by the Prime Minister is made, every serious effort must be made to ensure that we correct that or investigate at least, so that if we find any such existence of that, it must be corrected so that it is not repeated and member states build that level of mistrust. And this is what is making it difficult for the organization to effectively conduct its work because it must be built on a foundation of trust.
Yes, yes, very, very well said. And let me, Dr. Fontaine, I want to, we just have a few more minutes in this interview, but I have to ask both of you about this new concept, about these red parties. We would have heard the first time we heard about it was through our prime minister in St. Lucia. She says, do you think I'm here wearing red in St. Lucia for no reason? I don't know if Honorable Solomon Sharma Solomon heard the Prime Minister Mia Mottley actually say that, and she was saying that having just given up, she would have just finished the rotation because they rotate chairpersons every 6 months of Caricom, and here she was in St. Lucia talking about red parties, and then she said, I don't wear red for no reason. I wear red to support the red parties. And so she was campaigning on behalf of the St. Lucia Prime Minister in St. Lucia. She would have gone to Dominica and she was campaigning there for the Dominican Prime Minister in Dominica, another red party. She went to Jamaica to the Orange Party, at which she has said that's her party. She said that's the party that I support. And so there is this outright and very bold declarations about these red parties that are coming together. And what does that say to you, Dr. Fontaine? You're a citizen of the Caribbean, and not just that you're seeking leadership. You're seeking to be the Prime Minister of Dominica one day. What is that saying to you? You're not from the red party. Your party is what, blue or yellow?
Blue,
I don't know.
yes, blue.
So what is that going to say to the people that are blue? What is that saying to you?
I was personally shocked when I saw the behavior of your prime minister and the way she behaved in Dominica, blatantly in support of of a party. And this is a sitting head of government. I mean, this is clearly unacceptable. And we're seeing increasingly that the red parties are almost as if they're some kind of brotherhood, across the islands, St. Lucia, Dominica, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and so, and the way they behave, even to the point of even moving to have their own arrangements among the parties to allow for this free movement of persons and so on, to the exclusion of the rest of CARICOM. So we see that that there's a very deliberate attempt on the part of those leaders to support each other, but to really cross a red line, as it were, and openly campaign for another party. This should not be allowed. This should not be acceptable. I mean, and what we also see increasingly is the inability for those governments to separate their party from the government. Okay. In other words, there's a certain posture as a head of state you should adopt. And it should not be partisan, because when you're the head of state, you're representing every single person. And that's why I like the line that was put forward by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, where she said, we are neither green or red or blue or purple or orange. We are one Caribbean. We are one people. And so I believe that there should be a certain level of respect at a very basic level, where heads of state should respect the sovereignty, the integrity of each other's country. And when they come to those countries, they should come as, heads of state, and they should be welcomed as head of states and not as by partisan. We've had that in Dominica repeatedly. We had the same from the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Ralph Gonsalves, when he was Prime Minister, coming to Dominica doing the same thing. We had the same from the Prime Minister Pierre-Louis of St. Lucia. So it looks like that is a posture that they have adopted. It, to me, is extremely unprofessional, undiplomatic, and they should not continue.
Yes, yes. Honorable Sharma Solomon, what is the color of your party in Guyana?
We are the Green Party, and I can say to you that we see that same sort of behavior, and it's most.
You're green, but let's make it so you're not included. You're
No,
not
well,
included.
locally, what we see nationally in Guyana, the sort of ideological push to have a one-party type of system state in Guyana is very evident, and I think that is translating itself regionally, as you see the Barbadian Prime Minister openly demonstrating a very lack of respect for sovereignty and sovereign rights of member states. I think I want to agree so much with Dr. Fontaine in saying that a head of state showing up in the next destination, country, a sovereign state, is there to act as an ambassador on behalf of that state and not to behave partisan in any way, especially to promote colors and to promote agendas of political parties. I think that is most disturbing, but it goes beyond that. And I think what we are seeing in Guyana, as it relates to this intent for total domination of the political space, is economically where Guyana finds itself and where that economic alliance and allegiance is coming together from right across the Caribbean with people with self-interest. I know we saw that when it came to Dr. Ralph Gonsalves openly demonstrating where his political allegiances lie in terms of support for a political party. And those sort of behaviors are very concerning as it relates to opposition promoting their cause and their agenda and ensuring that they have a fair voice in Caricom. Should we have issues that needs resolution, that Caricom is there to ensure that it resolves.
Yes.
And then if I could make a quick point there as well, I must say, you see, what we have and then what this translates to then is when you come to Caricom, Caricom becomes incapacitated. It is not able to act. So that's the reason why when we raise our issues, we do not get any kind of reprimand. We don't get any kind of caution coming from Caricom because they're there, they're protecting the leader, and especially the leader has the same color party. And that is our frustration that we've had over the years with Caricom, that inability to respond. And it has a lot to do with that type of behavior.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I mean, in fact, I'll tell you this, that when I was in Dominica, Honorable Sharma Solomon, I saw with my two eyes, I saw the Prime Minister of Barbados. Her picture was up on a pole, sir, with the picture. So her picture was there above, and then you see the Prime Minister of Dominica's picture underneath, and they were promoting a political rally.
The rally, yeah.
I could not believe this, and I saw that with my two eyes. I went there. I thought I saw some people were upset. They started to tear down her picture. In some instances, his picture was above hers, and in some cases, her picture was even larger than his. Am I not telling the truth, Dr.
You're
Fontaine?
absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. That's the kind of absurd levels that this thing has gone to. Absolutely.
Yes, and so you're right. That is why they're not acting, because they're seeing party colors, and The very last thing that I will say, and then I'm going to give you guys a half a minute just to say something to the region. People are listening from throughout the region. I want to also say that read the cybercrime bill, viewers. Um, we, the loyal opposition here in Barbados, along with several churches, along with churches in Jamaica and and St. Kitts and other places, we wrote to the Caricom Secretariat about the cybercrime bill. We sent a lot of signatures throughout the region about that, and we've never heard from them. And we thought that we wouldn't because it's about the Mia Motley regime. Why? It's not probably not in their best interest to respond to us, and nobody responded. So we too have our experience with CARICOM. But let me go to Honorable Solomon, Sharma Solomon. In half a minute, in light of everything, what do you want to say to the rest of the Caribbean before we move to our next segment?
I think it's important that we appreciate from that structural realist perspective that the leaders are important. However, the organization is even more important as we look to function in an international system that is ever evolving, that we must be able to adapt very meaningfully to. And I think if we put the organization to appreciate its original reasons for existence, coming from the 1973 era and building on a single market economy and this movement for integration, I think we can do well. And the leadership, as Prime Minister Bissessar mentioned, that it is important that you recognize that today for you, tomorrow for me. And this is why we must have an organization that can be built on trust.
Yes. Well said. Well said. And let's hear Dr. Fontaine. What do you say to the people of the Caribbean? We're looking at this messy situation here. What do you say to the people of the region?
Yeah. I would like to see a more proactive CARICOM. I would like to see CARICOM, for example, take a page out of the book of ECOWAS. I'm very much familiar with the Africa region, where ECOWAS, when the former president of the Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, when he tried to steal an election, ECOWAS stood up to him and actually forced him to give up. And I would like to see CARICOM adopt that kind of posture, where you have, as we have in Dominica, blatant stealing of elections over and over again, and CARICOM is deathly silent. CARICOM, we believe, can stand up and take a moral stance against what's happening in my country, and do so with a loud and clear voice. I will send a very strong message that we will not coddle persons who steal elections, that we will not be part and parcel of governments that repress the people and try to remain in office at all costs. I would love to see CARICOM adopt a kind of stance like this. And I believe that if they do, we'd all be the happier for it.
Yes. Thank you so very, very much. Wonderful session. And I would love to know that we can call on you again anytime. Because I think it was very, very important for us to sit and to talk as a region, although it's the three countries. But at least we're starting, okay? And that's wonderful. Thank you all so much, gentlemen.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a blessed night.
Yes, thank you. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. That was really, really wonderful. And if you have just joined us, we are talking about the allegations that have been leveled at CARICOM, and without mentioning Barbados' name, Barbados, in some of these issues where Kamla Persad-Bissessar is accusing. She said a CARICOM country, but it is Barbados, alleging that one of her citizens was kidnapped, and that she wrote the CARICOM secretariat and there was no response. And then she talks about political operatives that were traveling into sister Caribbean states. And I know for sure, there were people traveling from Barbados who it's being alleged were working in the Prime Minister's office, and they were dressed in red, going from the Barbados Labour Party to help the SBG Red Party there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I was later told that some of them went on over to St. Lucia. So these are some issues. The picture that you're seeing on the screen is just a little funny comment of Miss Motley being asked questions by the media. And, I saw this comment that says, Motley said, no comment, Motley said that she gathered up her petticoat and ran clutching her pearls. She's always had a comment. So it's very interesting. She had no comment today. All right. Thank you, Jade. You're saying that the segment was very informative. We're going to now switch segments. And right now, we have with us Corey Greenidge, attorney Corey Greenidge. And he's going to be talking to us about the Constitution Amendment Bill, okay? And we have been discussing that. We've been going through it either on social media, right here on the show. And so we're going to continue that discussion this evening. And we want to take the opportunity to welcome once again to the Marcia Week Show, Mr. Corey Greenidge. Welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me, Marcia. So nice to see you again.
Yes, it's great. It's great to have you. And we're looking forward to an informative session with you this evening. And I'm just gonna give you the floor. And but let me before I do that, I want to say to you that on behalf of the loyal opposition, we have been saying that since the elections. We want to say to you that we recognize your effort, and we could see how you guys were working, not just you, but all of the 30 candidates from the Democratic Labour Party, and we want to commend you for what you're doing. As you know, they have been bombarding me. They want to say thank you. People just want to say thank you, whether they voted for DLP or not. They want to say thank you. And there is going to be an appreciation lunch. That's what they're planning for the DLP candidates, in particular, because of the attacks that you guys have received and the harshness of the treatment. And on behalf of Barbados, I wanted to convey that to everybody, to all of your friends there in the Democratic Labour Party, that we appreciate the sacrifice, sir. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I myself am appreciative of all the sentiments that we have received as a party and as individual candidates. I want to assure Barbadians that the work continues. This is not an end result, more so than a phase that I believe each of us, our candidates, are going through. And we ran a very good campaign. We heard the voices of the people, and were there areas of improvement, I'm sure, but the work continues. And that's actually why I'm here tonight, because part and parcel of not necessarily winning the seat, we still have a duty to the people of Barbados to continue to hold government accountable and to speak truth to power. So to all of those who supported us, thank you so much, and we assure you that the work continues.
Thank you. That's reassuring. That's reassuring. All right. Yeah. So we are going to, go for it. Corey.
Well, again, thank you for having me. And one of the things that we're accustomed to doing is trying to make legislation, especially legislation that has a very specific impact on the lives of Barbadians, to bring that to the fore so that we can explain and basically bring it alive. A lot of legislation is very much within the legal realm, but we believe that people need to understand what is happening. So this constitutional amendment bill, I'm sure there has been much discussion on social media, certainly in the print media, and on various forum. I was on the radio show earlier today. This amendment bill was actually teased by the Prime Minister on the evening of the swearing in of the ministers and the cabinet, that she would propose what she's terming as an anti-defection amendment to the legislation that is geared primarily to prevent members of the ruling party of the government from crossing the floor. That was what she said in the presser and the press conference. Now that the bill has come to the floor and it actually has been passed in the lower house, the bill now includes, or it provides for, the vacating of the parliamentary seat if a member of parliament crosses the floor. And by crossing the floor, I want your viewers to understand what that means. Because you are either a member of the government or you are a member of the opposition, not only by virtue of your party affiliation. Don't mind, the two things tend to be synonymous. But the law really says that the Prime Minister becomes a Prime Minister by virtue of commanding the majority of the members of Parliament, and that majority forms the government. The opposition is then formed. The opposition leader is appointed as the member of Parliament who garners the support of the majority of the parliamentarians who do not support the government. So even in that construct, it does not make reference to a political party, though admittedly those two things tend to be the same. What the amendment to the legislation, to the Constitution, I beg your pardon, now does is that it prohibits a member of Parliament from declaring that it no longer supports the government, or for that matter, no longer supports the opposition. And that's what crossing the floor means, that they declare that they are no longer supporting either the government or the opposition, as the case may be. The amendment then says that if they do that, they have to vacate the seat immediately. The amendment goes further to say that if a member of Parliament is either expelled from the party or resigns from the party, the Prime Minister or the leader of the party then informs the Speaker that that expulsion has happened, or that resignation has been received. And that member of Parliament has 14 days, either by application to the court, to either to defend or to refute that allegation of expulsion. If they are unable to do so by day number 14, the seat is declared vacant. Why this? I was discussing this with a group this afternoon, and one of the members of the group said, well, how does this affect the average voter? Why is this important for the voters to know about? When we were discussing the wiretapping bill, it was very specific to the voters. When you're discussing the cybercrime bill, again, very specific to voters. How does this constitutional amendment, and why are we making such a fuss about it? I've actually heard government MPs and other persons on the other side say, why are we making a fuss? And I'll tell you why. And I campaigned very heavily on this during the last concluded campaign. We in Barbados have to be careful that this present government does not inch away at our democratic structures, inch by inch, to the point where we do not notice, and eventually we hold our heads up, and the democracy that we have grown to appreciate and love is no longer there. I say that to say that the first problem with this bill is a legal problem, because this amendment speaks to if a member of Parliament who is elected as a candidate of a particular political party. So the first problem is that it does not meet the legal tests of being in concert with our actual laws. We know, as a matter of practice, people go to the polls and some people vote party. We know that as you campaign, you align yourself with a political party. So it's not to say that does not exist. The clear problem, however, is that the laws that govern our election does not recognize a political party. When a candidate is nominated, the Representation of the People's Act speaks to that nomination and says that that candidate is nominated as an individual by individuals. So you have to bring a proposer, you have to bring a seconder and 2 witnesses. So four persons come with you as you are nominated to run in the constituency. There is no reference to you as a member of a political party. Moreover, the Representation of the People's Act, the rules say that once that name is placed in nomination on the nomination sheet and in turn on the ballot, and many of you who voted may have noticed that name, that person is nominated and is on the ballot in their individual capacity. So you see the person's full name, the surname comes first. So you would see Greenidge Corey, the address, their residential address, not the party address, not where the party meets, not the constituency office, none of those things. That individual's residential address and what is called a description. For me, the description was attorney at law. The Representation of the People's Act goes on further. So it not only tells you how that person is represented, but it actually says that that description must not make reference to any political activity. The law is very clear. I actually just listened to a clip on Barbados Today on Facebook or IG, where the honorable member for St. Thomas, attorney at law Gregory Nichols, on the floor of Parliament today, said we are not elected in our own right as individuals. That is erroneous in law. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that during a political campaign, you are aligned to political parties. You canvass with political parties. You are on the platform. You wear the colors, all of those things. What I am making the distinction is between the law and politics. The law as it stands does not recognize, does not define a political party, and individuals are not elected as members of a political party. So when this amendment says, and I quote, elected to the House as a candidate of a political party, this amendment is an affront to the actual law that exists. So the politics of the thing we understand, but if the Barbados Labour Party and the present ruling government is going to make an amendment to law, they cannot do it on the premise of how they feel about a thing or the political stage. A political stage is quite different from the lawmaking parameters within the House of Parliament. When they bring a bill to the House, it has to accord with the actual laws of Barbados. They must give account for the law. They can't just stand up and wax poetic because that is how they feel about it, or we understand the political landscape. And if they want to cure a problem that they view, they will have to connect the law with the political realities. So to tack this law on to tack this amendment on to the Constitution already fails in law because it does not accord with the actual legal structure, the legal scaffolding, the parameters by which our electoral system operates. So I will go a step further and be very harsh in my critique to say that this is lazy, that this is reckless, and it is dangerous because at best it creates constitutional confusion, and at worst it will create constitutional chaos and invite constitutional challenge in the law courts. And I'll give you a perfect example. If I am a candidate for a political party and I am elected to the House of Representatives, and for whatever reason, I decide I no longer support this government, and I am expelled from the party, or there is a demand based on this provision that I now vacate the seat, I, as a political candidate, can take that vacating of the seat to the law courts to say, prove to me what is the standard of proof to say that I was elected to the House as a candidate of a political party. Because the only proof would be the ballot paper, and the ballot paper does not have any political party attached to it. You cannot say out of 1,000 or 2,000 people that voted for me that 1,000 voted for me as an individual and 1,000 voted party. There is no way for you to prove that in a court of law. So the idea, this provision, this amendment to the Constitution can stand is just a fallacy in law to start. If there is an ill that the Prime Minister or the government wishes to cure, I listened to her presentation, and it seems as if, because of the current dispensation of having all 30 seats, she wishes to stop someone from crossing the floor to become opposition leader, having ran a campaign canvassing and on a Barbados Liberal Party platform. What I would say to the Prime Minister and to the ruling government is that this has to be done in a comprehensive way, where the idea of a political party is recognizable in law, and that political party can be regulated in law, to the extent that a leader of a political party can't simply get up one day and expel one of its members and vacate the seat. Because if you can expel a member at the whim of a political leader or even the political party structure for want of anything, that means that that member now serves at the pleasure of the political party and not at the pleasure of the people who voted them in. The other aspect of this is that once this threat of vacating a seat looms over the elected members of parliament, it means, and it has the potential to quench debate in the House of Parliament. It has the potential to silence dissent in the House of Parliament because persons want to maintain their seat. And if that is the case, then we have now chipped away at democracy. We have now left us in a position where the voters are electing our representative members, but they are serving at the pleasure of one leader. And that, Marcia, that cannot stand in law right now as it is. It cannot stand in law.
But let me ask you a question there, Mr. Greenidge, because we're hearing that this is being done. So the government is saying that this is being done to enable stability of government. They're allowing MPs to cross the floor. According to the government, they're saying it can destabilize the government and undermines the mandate that the voters gave to the party, is what they're saying. Okay.
Well, what's
your take on that?
That's an interesting argument. Let me turn it around a bit. In 2018, one of the mandates or one of the ideas that the Barbados Labour Party ran on was that they were going to, within 18 months, they were going to reduce the VAT from 17.5% to 15%. That was part of their manifesto. That was part of their mandate.
Yeah.
The government never reduced the VAT. They said when we got in there, we saw there were problems and we could not reduce the VAT. Whether that was true or not, that was a position that they held thereafter. What if there was a member that now, because they talk about the member staying with the mandate as if the mandate stays. What if it was the other way around? What if the party changed the mandate and a member who canvassed and went to his constituents based on that mandate, the party now changes the mandate? What does the member do? Can the member say, well, no, I campaign on you reducing VAT. You have now decided you do not reduce VAT, so therefore I cannot be part of your mandate any longer. How then? So the idea that it stabilizes government and we maintain our mandate, that is a fallacy, because we all know that manifestos and mandates in a political environment can change. We all know that at some point in time, something can be brought to the floor where a member may not agree with. A member should be within the right as a representative of the constituents, be able to say, listen, I do not think this is good for my constituents. I do not think this is good for the people of Barbados. And they should be at liberty to hold that position on behalf of the people, not on behalf of a party. Because what this amendment now does It sets party loyalty ahead of the responsibility to represent the people. And I said this on the campaign trail. I said that the campaign has now turned into this campaign where vote for a leader and my team. Don't worry about good representation. Just vote for me and everything will be good. And now that idea is now being crystallized to say, haven't vote for me as the leader, and I run the ship in Parliament. If any of the persons that I have brought along with me during the campaign, if any of them dissent, you give me the power to get rid of them, because it's all about me and it's all about the party alone. This is extremely dangerous to the democracy that we have come to understand. I will go a step further. In principle, I do not disagree with the idea of making a representative accountable for any change of heart or any change of mandate. I do not disagree in principle. So I want to say that again. I do not disagree in principle if you're trying to establish a stability in governance to the extent that the voters have said, listen, that Representative Corey, he has presented to me A, B, and C, and I am going to vote for him. And when he gets into Parliament now, he changes his mind and he doesn't want to do A, B, and C anymore. He's going to do E, F, and G. Maybe in principle, that makes sense. But how do you achieve that? If there is this is my proposal, because I'm not just about criticizing what they've done. This is the suggestion. If you have a member of Parliament that crosses the floor, and I'm sticking with crossing the floor because that whole idea of being expelled is that's nonsense. If a member of Parliament now crosses the floor, where in effect he says, I no longer support the government, or very simply you could say I no longer support the opposition, because you had back in the early 2000s, you had Hamilton Ashley who crossed the floor and left the opposition at the time and joined the ruling party. So it could go either way.
Right.
If you're saying that that person must give an account to the voters, then send it back to the voters. You can have a situation where you can have a threshold petition, or a recall system, where the voters within that constituency have a say as to if they wish to recall that representative, if they wish to trigger a by-election. And I'm just throwing figures out there. What if you say, listen, by a 15% petition of the registered electors of the constituency, you can recall an MP. Put that back to the voters. If the voters meet the threshold by which the MP can be recalled, then you trigger a by-election. Because, for example, my example with the 15% VAT or the 17% VAT that was not reduced. If I say, listen, I am no longer supporting the government because when the government was campaigning, they said they were going to reduce the VAT by 7.5%. Year one, year two has passed, and they've not reduced the VAT, and therefore I'm no longer supporting the government. The members within the constituents might say, yes, I support you, stand for our rights, VAT should be reduced. And they may say, no, I don't, I'm agreeing, you should cross the floor and stand with the principle. Or the constituents will say, listen, what you're standing for, we don't believe in, we want to recall you and send to a by-election. So the point I'm making is that if that is the ill, or if that is the thing that you're trying to cure, it cannot reside in the power of a political leader. It has to go back to the voters. Let the voters decide if they want to recall an MP and trigger a by-election, not one person with all of the power.
Yeah, not that as you cross, then you will have to go back to determine if you're an MP, but you're saying to find out from the voters even before. Colin Roach is saying here, Mr. Greenidge, what about the individual who voted on a particular party campaign and that mandate changes? Can the people call for the party to step aside? It's kind of a little,
I understand. And generally speaking, you have up until the next election to call that party to step aside.
I was thinking the same thing, yeah.
If every time a party or a government does something that you don't like and we call an election, we'll be having an election every 3 months. So that's the principle of our democracy. So, and that's what I'm saying, with an individual member of parliament, if there's something so egregious that has happened that has caused that member of parliament to cross the floor, then leave it to the voters to decide if they want to recall. And like I said, the recall mechanism is something that you would have to lay out in law and understand how it works and be reasonable. But there must be a mechanism by which that seat can be recalled by the voters. Yes. and trigger a by-election. By the voters. If now this amendment places in the hands of a prime minister or in the hands of an executive council within a party to simply expel someone, to expel someone, and that they have to vacate the seat, then they are serving at the pleasure of a political party and they are not representing their constituents. And we have now chipped further away at the construct of our democracy. And I'll take, for example, Sonia Browne on the floor of Parliament on Tuesday gave some interesting comments on her feeling on this bill. When it came to vote, she was curiously absent. You are in the realm of having a chilling effect on persons casting their votes with respect to representing their constituents. There are people in there that understand what we are saying, because the law is on this is not difficult, you know. I heard the Attorney General, the honorable member from Christchurch East, on the floor of Parliament, suggests that political parties is contemplated by the Constitution already, because part of the argument that myself and others have been making is that the construct of a political party is not actually part of our legal construct.
Correct.
The Attorney General, and I have to admit, he often disappoints me as a senior attorney. He stands on the floor of Parliament and suggests, oh no, that's not true. In Section 21 of the Constitution, it mentions political parties. But the irony of referring to Section 21 of the Constitution is that that section specifically speaks to the freedom of association, in particular association with political parties. That's the only other thing a political party.
No, hold a second. Let me see if Dave, can you find out? You said the section what again?
Yeah, let me find it for you.
Yeah. Listen, that's the thing. I have to say something about that, Attorney General. You're not saying it. I'm saying it. And this is my experience and my opinion. All right. That honestly, with that man, if he says it's raining, it's shining. That's me. Okay, not you. But I have sat in this chair for 5 years and I have seen him all over the place. And I know that once he opens his mouth, whatever he says, it's the opposite. That's just my opinion on it.
Well, I am not going to call him a weatherman quite yet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to point out the bit of a red herring that the Attorney General said.
Hold a second there, Mr. Greenidge. There is a call coming in. I have a new system. I'm going to see if I can hear this person. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Show. Okay, Dave, come. Let's see. Try. Go ahead. Good night. Yes. Can you hear the person? Can you hear Mr. Greenidge?
Just barely. You may have to repeat for me.
All right. Let's start over. Let's work something out, and then we're going to reach back out to you. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah.
I really hope your system works eventually, because it would be great to interact with your
we tested it before we came on, and for some reason, okay, I see. We see what the challenge is. Caller, please. Let's wait, caller. Remember, we normally start at 9 o'clock. So, caller, let's start at 9 and allow Mr. Greenidge to share his thoughts and his views. Remember, we deal with education on here as well. Mr. Greenidge, you were making a point. Go ahead, and I have a question here. based on just some of the arguments of the government, because it's important for us to present their side as well. So make your comment, and then I'm going to present another side of the government.
Yes, I just wanted to point out the irony of the Attorney General making reference to Section 21 of the Constitution, because Section 21 actually refers to the protection of the freedom of association, and it mentions political parties as one of the associations that one should be free to choose. And the irony of referring to that is that one may actually be able to argue that creating a punitive response to crossing the floor, meaning that there's a punishment, as it were, or there's a consequence for crossing the floor and joining a different political party, may very well go to the heart of preventing or restricting the right to freedom of association. So having mentioned that, in other words, he's trying to say, no, the Constitution contemplates political parties. No, it does. But what the argument is not that the Constitution didn't mention political parties before. The argument is that the electoral law, the laws, the Representation of the People Act and its rules does not contemplate nominating or electing an individual based on political party. It only contemplates the individual itself.
Yeah,
that is the point.
Yeah, he's a very interesting character. Wish him all the best, and for the sake of Barbados, I wish him all the best. But one of the concerns that the government raised is that it would prevent, it discourages MPs from switching sides to advantage, right? They said this amendment presents political horse trading, right? And backroom deals where people are going to cross the floor for personal gain, ministerial position for perks and influence. What's your thought about that? They believe that this is going to be able to stop that in its track.
Well, it stops crossing for any reason, whatever that reason may be. And I can't sit here and say that persons don't have personal reasons for wanting to cross the floor. But it is their right, though. And like I said, if they are perceived to cross the floor for some ministerial gain or whatever, then send it back to the voters. The challenge I'm having is not that the ill, there may not be ills that you are trying to cure, but you cannot do it by a leader of a party or a prime minister wielding a wand and vacating a seat that 2,000, 3,000 sometimes persons have voted for that person to be in the seat, and you totally disregard that voting process. And now a prime minister, by edict, can vacate a parliamentary seat. It simply is not part and parcel of what we understand our democracy to be about.
Well,
I will just add this clip that it is quite it's interesting that a party who now has its foreign minister, its minister of foreign affairs and trade, and its minister of legal affairs were senior ministers from another party in a former dispensation. So the idea that they're trying to quell switching and poaching of persons and that type of thing, they're now trying to stop that. To me, I think that's disingenuous at best.
Yes. Sir, you mentioned the word democracy there, and I saw plastered across the newspaper this morning, I think it was front page, that the reason the Prime Minister gives is for wanting to amend this part of the Constitution is to protect the democratic system. They are saying that the reform prevents instability and therefore protects the democratic system, and it strengthens our institutions.
I wholly disagree with the statements of the Prime Minister on the floor of Parliament and as they were reported in the Nation News this morning. It does not protect democracy. Anytime that you have taken the choice of the voters out of the voters' hands and place it in a party leader, You cannot possibly suggest that that has anything to do with protecting democracy. If you truly want to protect democracy and you are concerned about members of parliament that defect from or declare that they no longer support the government and want to sit in opposition, as I suggested a few moments ago, they need to send it back to the voters. The idea that that seat is automatically vacated is an affront to the democratic process. And further to that, if you, and by you I mean the governing party or the prime minister, wishes to protect democracy, to take this amendment and just tack it on to a constitution in a piecemeal fashion, this patchwork of amendments to our constitution, after commandeering a constitutional reform commission that is headed by a reputable former jurist, having done all of that, to ignore the reform suggestions and to do this piecemeal type of patchwork with our constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, and leave it to this kind. So there's this very almost disrespectful way of treating the constitution that does not protect our democracy. We are now in our 5th year as a republic, and we are at least a year out from that report from the Constitution Reform Commission had been issued. And we have not seen any attempts by this government, either in the previous term or certainly not in this opening term, to do comprehensive reform and bring a constitution to the public that reflects our new Republican status. There are plenty of areas in which we can improve on our constitution, and I have not seen that. Yet I am seeing the government treat the constitution as a legislative convenience to propagate ideas from a political realm into the legal realm, and the twain shall never meet. This does not protect our democracy. Our democratic institutions, our democratic laws, and the structure of our democracy is held up by a strong constitution. And if you're piecemealing the constitution and making errors within it and making errors in the amendments that do not accord with the actual legislative framework of our country, that does not protect democracy. That is legislating by convenience through our supreme law. I wholly disagree with the Prime Minister on that front.
But there's a question here on the screen. Hogan says, Mr. Greenidge, are those problems as a result of deeper problem of the moral decay and unethical leadership that have taken root in Barbados? How can we remove this contagion of the political culture? I think he's saying, to him, I think he thinks it's undemocratic. I'm trying to read into what he's trying to say, but you can go ahead and answer what you understand.
The premise of his question, I will not necessarily comment on in terms of moral decay and unethical leadership. I will leave that for the voters to decide, and that's why we go to the ballot box. What I will say, however, is that we are in a dispensation, and this is what the voters have voted for: 30 seats in Parliament. And I think that it invites a level of complacency. It invites a shortage of accountability. And what we as citizens, both through media such as yours, Marcia, through the print media, through our social media pages, we have to continue to agitate to ensure that we hold this government accountable. We have to continue to be vigilant and continue to be not afraid to speak out when we see things that are happening that are not for the good of the Barbadian people. How this government chooses to govern is a matter for them. How we respond to that governance is a matter for us and a matter for the voters in Barbados. This is still a strong democracy. I will never say that our democracy is not functioning as it should, but part of that functioning of a democracy is the willingness to speak and the willingness to stand and speak and be accounted for. The willingness even, Marcia, to go to the law courts. You've heard me say before, our structure of governance is a three-part structure of governance. You have the cabinet, which is headed by the prime minister. You have the legislature, which is the lower and upper house of parliament, and you have the judiciary. And the judiciary is the final guardrail and the protector of the constitution. And I am prepared to say that we have to be prepared to even go to the third arm of governance, to the third arm of governance, if the legislature does not do in a proper way what it is supposed to do.
Yeah.
So holding them accountable, criticizing them, talking about moral decay, I will leave that for the voters to surmise. But I'm in a position where I am dedicated to continually making my voice heard, making this government accountable for its actions.
Yeah. Now you said something there. I'm just reminding the viewers, in 5 minutes, we are going to have the phone line open for you to call, because I think it would be very, very interesting for us to air out some of our views and to express ourselves. This is what we're talking about here, to be able to do that. But you know, Mr. Greenidge, I can't help but to think that I'm not saying we're not a democracy, but from where I sit, I've been sitting here over 5 years, and I've seen the different attempts, and it's like an eating away at our democracy. I'm not saying that we're not a democracy, but really and truly, as the years have gone by, I am seeing where there is so much fear. So you're saying that we're in a democracy, but I'm not sure if you're aware of the level of fear. There's so much fear, Mr. Greenidge, that someone actually called me on election day and said, Marcia, do you think the prime minister would know how I voted? And should I really vote? No, don't laugh at that. This is a senior citizen. Voted all their lives. But all of a sudden, they're now afraid. Do we see the chilling effect? We see what is happening in the country. Are we concerned, as a politician, are you concerned that the same democracy that you're talking about, that it is being chipped away? Do you think that is happening?
I think that there have been breaches of constitutional norms, as it were. We have a lot of constitutional institutions in Barbados.
Yes.
And given the state of our elected politics, there has been what I would call some chipping away at those norms. I am still a firm believer that our democracy is still strong. What I am concerned about is a lack of participation in that democratic process, which has lent itself to what one might consider a minority government. If you have only 38% or 40% of the voting public participating, and a government is able to garner even 60, 75% of that vote, you are talking about representation in the minority. And when things are happening, then when you have laws like the wiretapping bill, or laws like the cybercrime bill, or the citizenship bill, these laws that have come to the floor of parliament, and persons are not engaged enough to hold the government accountable, my fear is that there's this consistent stepping away from the political process, which lends itself to a government that is able to basically do what they like. I'm an internal optimist. I do not subscribe to fear. I know I am not going to be naive. I do know now that there are in our society, there's a fear, there is a concern, if you don't want to be so dramatic, about persons holding on to their jobs, especially public servants who are concerned about holding on to their job, maybe concerned about victimization.
Yeah, Mr. Greenidge, can I just tell you this, that it is not something perceived, There are people who are actually, I have family members, I'm telling you that this is a real thing. And until some of it I know is blown out of proportion, but as you deal with people, for them it is real.
I will tell you this. I do not, during the campaign, it was difficult to find an entertainer or a songwriter that is willing to write for the Democratic Labour Party. So I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that it's not real. What I hope is that we can get to a stage where we are inspired to fight back.
Yeah, gotcha.
That we are in, do you understand? Because the structure of our democracy remains intact. And that's why I talked about participation. If, however, we allow fear or concern to quench our participation, to silence our voices, to make us stay home, to bring us to a place where we figure nothing can be done, that is where I think it will break down. But at this point, I will encourage all voters, and I know we're only a couple of weeks from the last general election, but there will be another, and there will be times to engage. Barbadians across the Caribbean, we are tend to be known as a more passive population. In other parts of the Caribbean, in Jamaica, you know that Jamaicans will fly in your face faster than anything else once they are aggrieved. Barbadians tend to be a little more passive, and part of what I am concerned about is that passive retreat away from the political process because people think they can't make a difference. And Marcy, that's part of why I have gotten into this arena, because I want to be able to say to people, listen, we can participate. We can make a difference where we see a difference needs to be made. We can make our voices heard. We do not have to fear. We do not have to fear. So we want to turn that fear or that concern into action. We want to turn that fear or that concern into a collective voice that says to a ruling party, that says to a government, we are not going to accept this, or we're not going to accept that. And I'll show you.
Can I ask you, because that's part of what we're trying to do. Where when people call me, I had to joke to tell my husband. I mean, the number of persons who call me and say, "Marcy, they're going to put you out of the country." They're so worried for me, and I'm telling them, "Listen, stop the fear, stop." But how do you really? What assurances can we give people? A person who's saying, "Marcy, I don't want to speak out. I can't do it. My job or my granddaughter," you hear this, "my granddaughter has a government job, my son has a government job," and they're whispering, 6 o'clock in the morning, we're walking and somebody on the road whispering, "You know that man?" And I'm like, "But there's nobody but myself, you and the dog. What are you whispering about?" What assurances can we give the people? And I'm being really about that because I want to be able to help. What assurances can we give the people who are concerned about their livelihood?
It is a difficult thing to answer. What I would say is that we've had victories. That wiretapping bill, the Prime Minister turned up on the Sunday night before the cameras and had to pull back that provision out of the wiretapping bill. We can make a difference as we lend our voices to the concerns. And listen, we have to get back to a stage where we inspire people to go out and vote. Their vote is their strongest voice,
Yes.
That is where your voice can be heard, and that is where you can make a difference. And I mean, we just come out of an election, and maybe there was more that we can do, but we, and by we I mean the Democratic Labour Party, we are committed to connecting with the voters. We are committed to ensuring that we continue to encourage voters that their voices matter, that is where they can make change at the ballot box. And listen, I will say one other thing, and I've said this to other people within the political arena. After 1994, when Erskine Sandiford suffered a no confidence motion in the House of Parliament, and Parliament was dissolved, and it triggered a general election, the Barbados Labour Party, under the leadership of Owen Arthur, held the government again for 14 years until 2008. I know we feel like if we have been under this present government for far longer, but it really has only been just over 7.5 years.
Oh, Lord, for it.
It's just been 7.5 years.
So I'm just, oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. So the idea that we are somehow at the point of no return, I would say to people, do not give in to your fears. This is a political environment. It is a democracy, and the strongest thing that you have, the strongest weapon in your arsenal within a democracy is your vote. And not just your vote. It is the vote of the friends that you walk with your dog on mornings. It's the vote of your church group, the choir. It's the vote of the friends you meet at the gym. In other words, encourage people to lend their voices to your voices and vote. And that has not been happening. So if there is a concern for me, it is not a concern about what the government does, It is a concern that Barbados is in a place where we are accustomed to 60, 65, almost 70% participation turnout within our voting cycle. And now we're down to 40%. Some are reporting almost 38%. We have to find a way to reignite the populace, reignite the voting public to lend their voices. Don't give in to fear. And that fear, some of that fear is real, but a lot of it is imagined. Do not give in to it. Lend your voices and vote. Participate, listen, understand. And that's why I would come on a show like yours, Marcia. That's why I would call into brass tacks. That's why I would continue to write articles to the paper, because I want to be an inspiration to people to say, listen, you have persons out there that are lending their voices to the discourse, lending their voices to the argument, and holding power accountable and speaking truth to power. And we are encouraging voters to come out and lend their voices to our voices.
Yeah.
Don't fear.
Don't fear. Let me just, and I totally agree with that, and want to thank you for saying all of that, because it just underscores what we have been saying to people on the show. Let's do something, come together, get in your communities, get in your parishes, and start to do something. Write letters, do something. I have, just before the callers start calling, there's a name on this, and permit me a little bit to just mention this young lady. She's one of my heroes. And, she's Dr. Crystal Haynes, another doctor. I'm sure this is the same person. And if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. But it's an opportunity. I was thinking of her today. And actually, I think of her often, because she doesn't realize that how much she inspired me in the last year and a half or so. And Dr. Haynes, if that's you, I want to say that today, as I wrote the poem on Dr. Browne, another doctor, you were so much in my mind. And I want to thank you for, joining, for at least typing, and commenting, and for what you have done. You have been the, Dr. Browne, luckily she didn't say, well, I don't know if what happened with Crystal will happen to me, what happened to me, but she stepped out. And as I said to someone today, I said, the same thing that we did with Ralph Thorne through this loyal opposition, the same thing that we did for Crystal Haynes, Dr. Crystal Haynes, is the same thing we'll do for Dr. Sonia Browne. These are people that we can say in our modern times have stood up when the forces were all against them. And that's what Ralph Thorne represents. That's what Dr. Crystal Haynes represents. That's what Dr. Sonia Browne, Reverend Atherley. It's not easy to do these kinds of things, Corey Greenidge. I'm sure you know that. But Mr. Thorne, it's not easy. To this day, they have parliament without him, and spend the entire parliament talking about Mr. Thorne and the DLP. It's not easy. And so, Crystal Haynes, I have to use this moment. Okay, somebody said it is her. I have to use this moment to acknowledge you, Madame. And I want people to realize that not much is happening down there in the whole town. And it's this woman here, you see her? In Jamaica, we say a little but a talawa. This little woman. And you see, nothing, no movement down there yet, Corey, in the whole town. There's something hold down there. Thank you, Dr. Haynes. But back to what we're doing.
No, but
I have to do that.
it just echoes what we are seeing
Yes.
for Dr. Haynes. Certainly for Ralph
Although
Thorne.
she was put out, okay? But
Yes, she was. But you see, for a Ralph Thorne, a Dr. Haynes, even now you see Dr. Browne.
Sonia Browne.
You're seeing that there are voices that are willing to raise their voices and speak truth to power. And what we now are saying to this electorate is add your voice to our voice. Add your voice by your vote. And like I said, don't let fear take over. I am very clear-eyed that this administration has only been in 7.5, heading to 8 years. As I mentioned before, Owen Arthur had the government for 14 years before the Democratic Labour Party was able to win the government again. Do not despair. Do not be caught by all of the fear mongering and the concern. And no, we are in this fight, and we will continue. For me as a campaign, I'm back in the field from next week. Took a couple of weeks to just take a break, but back in the field and to meet and continue to encourage voters that we need to continue in this fight. We need to hold government accountable.
Yes. And on that note, NMHC7 is asking, are you taking volunteers at your constituency office?
I am always looking for persons who wish to volunteer in the campaign. During this campaign, I had a wonderful team, many volunteers who stuffed envelopes, walked around with me in the constituency, who put up posters, who did everything. So we're definitely always looking for additional help in the campaign. So certainly.
Yes. Thank you so much. And NHM, try to reach out. If you message me 236-7000, we'll be able to connect you with the campaign, with Mr. Corey GREENIDGE, not his campaign, but with his, and then he can do the honors. We have a caller on the line, and I'm hearing something, Mr. GREENIDGE. Seems like it's working. Good night, caller.
Good night to you, Marcia.
Can you hear him? Oh, wow, it works. Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yes, good night, Comrade GREENIDGE, my colleague and comrade. I love everything you have said, and I too, today, just to let you know, Comrade GREENIDGE will continue despite everything that has been coming against me, all the threats and the mails and the bots, everything. And I fear them not. I will continue to read the newspaper. I am the person that many on here may know. I'm the man that slams them regularly on blast. And I will continue to do as such. We slam them with the truth. We slam them with facts. And we are as much as we, as Comrade GREENIDGE would have just said, as much as we criticize, we would also suggestions if we are willing to take them. But I must say, I agree to some extent with Sister Weeks that even for me, on a personal note, I will share this because I have nothing to hide. Right? My work was threatened, and I've been made, since we lost the election, I've been made a mockery of and all kind of, very hurtful things. And, it bothers me a lot. And I thought I would share that. So the fear is real, Comrade GREENIDGE. It is real, but as you rightly said, this is what the, and I call it the word, the red Kool-Aid wants us to fear. But we don't stand in fear. We continue to make noise, along with we join forces with Marcia and others and yourself. And I will, before I go off the line, I will encourage all of my brothers and sisters, comrades, yourself, Trotman and Bob Trotman, Comrade Goodman, and others, I'm sorry, to continue to stay strong. I want to encourage them. I hope they hear my voice. Stay strong. Do not give in or give up. We are a democracy, and we will show the people that this is a democracy and not an autocracy, as the ruling administration wants to present. And so there are many loopholes in that legislation, and I want to hear from you, from Greenidge, about the guardrails. These so-called guardrails that for me don't exist as far as that legislation, which I think needs to be a step basket as far as I'm concerned.
Well, thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Greenidge. And remember, okay, they're saying they can hear better now. Can you go ahead, guys, and you can call in. 236-7000 is the number. Go right ahead, Mr. Greenidge.
No, I just want to say thank you to the caller for the encouraging words. I'm sorry that on your job that you feel as if you've been attacked, but stand in what you believe. If we don't believe in anything, we would fall for everything, or we would fall for anything. We want to stay the course. We want to continue to agitate what is right and what we know is important to preserve our democracy. So thank you so much for calling.
Thank you so much, Mr. Greenidge. We have another caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. What's on your mind tonight?
Hi, good night, Marcia.
Good night.
I have to call because I saw Mr. Greenidge on, and he did an excellent job at Christchurch. So,
you're from Christchurch, South?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
I was born and raised in the constituency, and I was pleased with his campaign.
Oh, wow. You're talking, and I can literally feel like you're smiling and talking. What about his campaign you were so excited about? What is it? Why are you smiling?
It wasn't necessarily his campaign, it was his story. Because his story hits close to home. His parents, right? We know the challenges that his parents had in the occupation that he has. So it hits close to home, right? I guess he would understand what I'm saying. So that really resonated with me, to see that this is where he has come from against the odds. Because it's not easy having a parent in that field. And I myself, I'm trying to do the same. So his story really resonated with me. I was pleased with everything that he did on the campaign trail. I listened to everything that he said, and I love his brilliance. I didn't get to see him on the campaign trail and talk to him, engage him, but I came in, I saw him tonight, and I said I had to call. This is the first time I'm calling.
Because you saw, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're calling, and this is part of what we are talking about, to lose that fear and to step out and to do something you've never done before on behalf of your country. And I love the fact that this is your first time. Can I just engage you a little bit? Did you vote?
Go on.
Did you vote, man?
Oh, yes, I did vote. I
Okay.
I went to the what's it? The Nazarene. I went there and voted.
And
that's where it was registered. I had 0 issues.
Okay. Well, that is wonderful. Thank you, caller.
You are welcome.
Yes.
You have a good night, Mr. Greenidge. Keep speaking, keep using your voice for good. Just keep pushing.
Thank you so much, caller. We have another caller. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Blessed good night to you, Marcia and Corey.
Yes, good night. What's on your mind? Thanks for calling.
I would not like to share what is on my mind, to tell the truth, but this is one pressing thing. What I love about democracy is being able to choose without fear. Being able to associate without fear. To me, that is democracy. Now, when you have to now say yes because of fear, to me, the democracy have been eroded. Now, this is what this is my concern right now. We have chosen representatives, people to represent us in Parliament, and now we are. It seems as though what our representatives are not representing us. They are representing other entities. So when it comes to freedom of association now, if by chance the constitution, not the constitution, if by chance what they put on their paper, if what they put on their paper does not align with what they're doing, what they promise, and a member decides that they're not going to be in favor with that, or because that is what people voted for, you mean to tell me that they can't cross the floor because they have a difference of opinion, a different of contract? No, we chastise people for not going out there and vote, right? But yet still, we have a member who refused to go and vote, all because she did not agree with what was being done. And this is some person that's supposed to represent us, and you are afraid to come out and say in the Parliament to say that you do not agree with this bill. That
But in fairness to her, caller, in fairness to Dr. Browne, if you're making reference to her, she did say she did not agree. I do agree that she did not vote. She excluded herself. But she did say, she said it clearly that she did not agree. Let's be fair to her.
She did not agree. She did not agree with what was being passed, and she absented herself.
Yes, that is correct. That's what happened.
But the people who did not vote, they absented themselves also. And what example is this setting? What example is this setting for an elected an elected person who know within themselves that this bill that is being passed is an unfair bill, but yet still is not going to stand up in Parliament to say they don't agree with it, but they're going to absent themselves from standing up, or because they don't want to be the only person that is on the winning side to speak against it. Who have we voted for? Who have we voted to represent us? Silent people? You mean to tell me that you are only going to represent us when in our vote, but when it comes to standing up to say this bill is going against our constituents, so you're going to say no? Meaning that people are just going to stand back and accept that? I don't agree.
Okay.
I don't agree. This is my final thing.
Yes, because we have another caller trying. They've been trying to get in.
Right, but I guess you see how frustrated I am.
I understand, but let's wrap it up quickly because we have two callers.
Right, I'm going to.
Thank you.
You see this love, Marcia?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe that this was a people's choice. I don't believe this was the people's choice at all. We have some people, some parliamentarians who refuse to do anything for their neighborhood, and yet still they are back in Parliament. No, I don't believe that they were chosen. They were chosen because the people chose them. I don't believe that there.
Okay.
So this is no third love.
Okay. Thank you.
Forgive me for being so angry.
That's okay, and that's part of it. And I want to thank you for calling and for being honest. And that's why we're here. That's why this program exists. Okay. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you. I want to say just before Mr. Greenidge responds, I want to say to if you feel angry, call. Get it out. And I want to. We want to be able to move that anger into action. Okay. It's okay to get it out. Like, this is the space. Get it out. Get the fear out. Get the anger. All of those emotions out. And let's work together as a community towards action. All right. And that's action that you actually called. That's wonderful. A quick comment there, Mr. Greenidge, because I know somebody's going to call right now.
I would just say that I agree with the caller. I appreciate Dr. Browne's contribution on her feet, but it goes just to what I said. There are many people around Barbados that are complaining about the governing party, or complained about it, but stayed home. So you get in the salon and you complain, or you get in the barbershop and you complain, or you meet a friend in the supermarket and you say, well, we want to have an opposition. We don't want 30-0 anymore. They complain and they speak in their hushed tones. But then when it was time to vote, they didn't. And I think it is incumbent upon Dr. Browne not to abstain. Let her vote demonstrate to people of Barbados that the vote does matter. It matters. Yes. So that would be my own comment.
Yeah, we have another caller, and I just want to add that for me, as we are talking about fear and about stepping out, and I like to acknowledge the first steps, even if they're baby steps. And so I respect what Dr. Browne has done. She's done more than all the men in there, and so Dr. Browne, for me, take a bow. Yes, I understand she could have voted, but we want to encourage her where she's at. But let's go to the caller. Good night, caller.
Good night, Marcia and Mr. Greenidge.
Good night, caller. How are you?
First, I am okay. This is Judy Joe.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
First,
ma'am.
I want to thank and congratulate Mr. Greenidge. Don't mind he living on his trying to get him. I trying to let Sonia Browne. I agree with her, and a lot of people should stand up. And Mayor Motley should never tell people about that bill. That bill needs squashing. First, when after crossover, and other people should be able to cross over. She just don't want nobody inside that House Assembly like Mr. Turnbull and talking out to his mouth. He's right and the truth and the best thing for people. Mayor Molly is our servant. We are not her servant. She got to do what the people say, not what she want to say and what she want to do. Barbados does not belong to Mayor Amor Motley. She needs to step back and be here for herself and allow the people to say what they say. I thank Sonia Browne for what she agreed. She don't agree with what's going on in this bill. People have the right to cross over. She can't tell the boy don't cross off the crossover that they got a re-elect and all kind of stupidness. Oh, like she cross over from the D already to the B. So she needs to stop her behavior. As a woman, not a woman, with straight people to the road.
All right. Well, Judy, I think we got the point, right? But thank you so much for calling, and I think you're making a very, very important point or points there. Thank you so much, Judy.
Right, because we are the B is who hire she, not she hire B.
Correct. Well, let me get Mr.
Greenidge. B, right, she's the servant. Was B, but she there.
Yes.
She telling me what she want done. We got to tell she what we want to do in Barbados.
And you're right. So, Judy, let's hear Mr. Greenidge make some comments on that. Thank you so much for calling, Judy. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a pleasant night both for you all.
Thanks so much. Mr. Greenidge, any thoughts on that as we others get ready to call?
Well, the only thought is that the caller is correct in that they have, crossing the floor is nothing new. I think the only thing new is that we've never had a government that has had all 30 seats. So the crossing creates an immediate post of opposition leader, and I think that may be one of the things that is new. But crossing the floor is nothing new. It's been done throughout all of our political history.
Yes, 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 yes. And okay, here we go. Okay, I know they're coming in. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. I think they're still connecting. While that, let's see here. Yes. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. What's on your mind?
Good night, Marcia.
Good
Good night,
night.
Marcia. Good night, Mr. Greenidge. Good night, everyone. Two things. I agree with some of what you said, Marcia, about appreciating Sonia Browne for the small step that she took, and that is very commendable. But I also want to chide her and say to her that if I voted for you, if I represent me in Parliament, you got my vote, and in your opinion, this bill would not support my stance, my belief, what I think should happen, you should not absent yourself from voting, because you're representing the people and not the party. First, the people, then the party. So she should not have absented herself from voting. The second point is the changes to the Constitution regarding this bill. If the Constitution is something that covers the people, belongs to the people, yet the changes that are being made to the Constitution are being made apart from the people, but yet it is for the people. How can that be? I think that there need to be some middle ground on some of these constitutional changes, that the people can have their say and not act where it is at right now, when it's in Parliament with a 30-0 love, and we know where that going. What side that going? The side of the party rather than the people. So when it comes to changes to the Constitution and things that pertains to the people as a whole, I think the people should have their say and not bring it to us as if we are incompetent, or if we are ignorant, or if we are stupid, and tell we here, that is for y'all. No. We went to the same school as y'all.
Yes.
We went the same education, so I think that the people should be included in these types of decisions.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you. And Mr. Greenidge, hold on to your answer. There's another caller. And I don't want to discourage them from speaking up. So you write down anything you want to say there. Welcome, caller, to the Marcia Week Show. What's on your mind?
Good night, Mrs. Weeks. I was here thinking.
I heard that accent. I love that accent. Go ahead.
I was here thinking that Dr. Browne probably did what she thought was the best thing.
Correct.
Because had she voted no, and that bill is passed, because it hasn't gone to Senate yet, she could be the one that is dismissed from the House. And I don't think it would have been prudent for her to put that to the test. There is an old saying, when your hand is in the lion's mouth, you have to ease it out slowly.
Interesting concept. Interesting concept.
I think she was looking down the road and saying, this hasn't even gone to Senate yet. It may get passed. And if I voted no, then I might be the one that does not have this seat. That's just my thoughts.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, caller, for calling. And again, it's good to hear that accent. I'm losing mine, so it's good to hear that one. Over to you, Dr. Greenidge. Any thoughts on that? Oh, and then we jump in.
You dropped out of my audio there for a moment. I just want to just to the final caller. What the caller said is so important because that is the point that we're making. If the fear of losing the seat prevents Dr. Browne or any parliamentarian from voting on behalf of what is right for their constituents, then that is the whole point right there. They should not be fettered in their ability to vote on behalf of the people.
But Corey, this is what I am saying to us, that I understand your optimism, and I understand the importance of that as a person of faith. But we have got to meet people where they're at, because their situation, and this is in no way trying to say Dr. Browne was right in what she did. I'm using this as an example based on the conversation we were having earlier of the reality, people's reality. You see, and again, it's how, I guess it's education. We keep educating to move people out of that and give them assurance and try to encourage them when they make small steps, because it's for them, it's real. Let me just go to this caller here, and then we will continue that conversation. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Yes, good evening, Marcia, and good evening to Mr. GREENIDGE and the...
Good evening.
Yes.
Yes, we're hearing you. Go right ahead.
Yes, Mr. GREENIDGE, I am, first of all, let me say this to you, right? You, as far as I'm concerned, you were the standout candidate in the last election, okay? And if you stick to your guns, one day you are going to be a leader in this country, okay? And that is from my perspective on you, okay? You being obviously an old Comorian too. But let me say this, sir. I am increasingly concerned about the direction that this country is going in, right? In terms of its democracy. Now, pray tell me, why is it that a government who has won 3 consecutive exclusions from Parliament of the opposition can, in its first term in office, its first week in office, pass a bill trying to block its members from crossing the floor? Is that a priority? Is that a priority for us at this point in time? And that is my question to you. And do you think that it is now too late for Barbados to recover its democratic freedoms? Because here it is, 2026, and we are basically down to 30% of the vote in terms of voter participation. What is going to happen in, say, 2027, 28, when we go back to the polls? Are we going to be seeing a 10% decrease in voter participation? We are losing our democracy. We are losing it. And there are people who are trying to drive the nails in the coffin of our freedoms. And it has to be resisted at some point in time. Okay? So that is all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. And I will look forward to hearing your comments.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Excellent point there, caller. Thank you for calling. Over to you, Mr. GREENIDGE.
Certainly. To the caller, thank you for your kind compliments and your kind words. I do sincerely appreciate them, first and foremost. To your comment with respect to losing our democracy, we are in a trying time. There's no question in that. Again, if you have voter turnout in the low 40% or even the high 30 percentile, we are in trying times. But again, I encourage our listeners, I encourage our viewers that we're not down and out. This is an opportunity for persons to engage, is an opportunity for persons to come out and make their voices heard. Um, Even in smaller forum, as I said, engage your community groups, engage your church groups, your dance groups, whatever they are. Engage people. There's not listen. Some of the best political arenas is around a domino table, around the south table on Saturdays. We have to get to a place where we begin to re-energize and encourage the participation in the voting process. And I will take responsibility for that as well. I think we as politicians and we as candidates and senior members of political parties, and certainly for members of the Democratic Labour Party, we have to get down on the ground and begin again to energize voters to participate. I do not think all is lost. As I mentioned earlier, this has been a government that's only been in power for 7.5, 7 3/4 years. So we're not at a stage where all is lost. We are in a trying time, yes, and things are changing as we go. But I believe there is plenty opportunity to claw back what we understand are democratic norms and to restore balance in our democracy that works for the people. I agree with you. It is telling that the first piece of legislation that that appears on the floor of Parliament has nothing to do with bringing down the cost of living, has nothing to do with reducing the crime situation in Barbados. It has nothing to do with improving the healthcare system. It has nothing to do with keeping gas prices down or looking at the water bill. Can we ease working class Barbadians? This is what we expect of a government that has a 30-0 mandate. Instead, we bring a bill to amend the constitution to consolidate power over the seats in parliament to a political party or political leader. That in itself, I agree with you, is very telling. But we have to be in a position where we come on the shows and we speak on the radio, call into the radio program, let this government understand that the Barbadian people are going to hold them accountable. So I encourage you. Thank you for your comments, and they're well received.
Yes, yes. And we are, those of you who are calling, because you know we only have one line at the moment, but we're going to be improving. We have a system. Thank you for that person who is helping us, and we will have more lines because I think that we want to hear from the people. You know, Dr. Mr. Greenidge, you know, Corey, one of the things that I found being involved in this is that there was a time when nobody would want to call in. They said to me, Marcia, you know, people are going to hear my voice and they're going to know who I am, you know. And or they say, you know, I think that they bug your phones and they're going to know if I call. You know, they find all kinds. But now I'm finding that people are, you know, they might start to comment a little bit and they start to and just encouraging them where they're at. To say, okay, start there. This is what I meant by how do we get them like practically out of the fear? You know, take your little steps. Take the steps that you need to take. We know ultimately, you know, we want them on the road marching with us and we want them voting. But you know, they're making little steps. So I'm very, very happy for all of you new first-time callers who are calling. It's telling me something, Mr. Greenidge. Corey, it's telling me that people are, the message is getting over to people. Do not fear. Do not fear. Over to you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we are in a place where there are persons who are going to begin to come. I think the populace is going to engage. But again, I will say for us as politicians, for us as Democratic Labour Party politicians, we have a duty, we have a responsibility to get on the ground and begin to inspire and begin to encourage voters to vote. And that is the only way we're going to preserve our democracy. That is the only way we're going to restore balance to this democracy. I will go back again to the Sonia Browne situation, Dr. Browne. because I'm seeing some of the comments here. I agree with you, and I commend her for her comments. But I heard you make the comment that we kind of have to take her in baby steps. I'm going to respectfully disagree to this extent.
And you know what? You know what? Because people in there say, don't, they're trying to tell me, don't disagree with you. No, but that's the point of democracy.
Yes.
I have my view, and Mr. Greenidge have her view, and there's a point where we do come together
Where we do come together.
on it, right? And that's okay, and that's fine. I'm not trying to convince him, and we are here having a conversation, and
Correct.
that's really what democracy is all about.
And
Go
my,
ahead.
my
Sorry.
dissent is this.
Yeah.
When we present ourselves, as I did, as Dr. Browne did, for higher office comes with certain responsibility. You do not get to abdicate that responsibility for want of being the only one stepping out. On the House of Parliament, you go in there and you vote and you represent your constituents. To have absented that vote speaks volumes, yes, but it speaks volumes on both sides of the coin. Yes, I'm complaining. Yes, I am speaking against it, but I am not willing to go on record. You see, and that's where I have the challenge. You must be willing to go on record. And if we are saying to voters, come out and vote, you have to set the example. And there should have been a vote which says 29 or how many ever were on the floor. I'm not sure if the Prime Minister was on the floor still, in agreement, and there should have been one dissent, and she should have gone on in the annals of history. Because when history is written about how we have rescued this democracy, it will say that she did not vote. And I think it was a lost opportunity. I do appreciate what you're saying, but I believe it was a lost opportunity.
Yes, and I agree with that as well, and that's where we we agree on that. I just want to, as I said earlier, just a step further to say that we still want to, as you said at the beginning, appreciate and to encourage the steps that she's taken. Those are also bold steps. But we have a caller on the line. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hello, that's a good night to you, Marcia Week, Mr. Greenidge.
Good night.
My DLP comrade. My name is Tony Hall.
So hi, Tony.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
What do you call it? To get this word. You probably what you mean. Marty do not want to boycott this word because she do not want to boycott she. And she that's called dictatorship. And another thing too, right? If she was on the other floor, right? And she was in another party, right? And she didn't like what was going on, she would do the same thing. So she want to say it. Because you understand now, right? Man, Molly got this thing and said that she owned by this. She doing. She got to hear it to the people because the people were there for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to switch for what they say. She needs to take her place and be a servant and not being want to be a dictator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Her whole calorie is like turning off.
Yeah.
That's way that she's not fit to be a prime minister.
Right. So, Teroni, thank you for your comments, and you're very bold in making your comments. So, let me ask you a question here. What do you say to people? I mean, you're bold in making your statements, and I think you voted as well. What do you say to people who are afraid, or people who say, "I don't want to vote anymore. I've given up on the whole process"? What do you say to people like that?
Well, my advice to hello.
Yes, we're right here. Go right ahead, Teroni.
My advice to people: stop being afraid, and people need to come out and not really dominate themselves to know that they can got their power. If you don't like let the go and grab for your power, you'll be a servant. You won't be going about power to dictate your future.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice to people is, get mature, get brave, stay strong, be focused and be wise. And keep everybody praise. We need to get Barbados back to the roots, not being a dictatorship country.
Understood. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, caller. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
I'm a pro-Democrat. I'm a also Jojo.
All righty. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Yes, Corey, go right ahead.
Well, again, thank you to the caller for calling in.
Yeah, we have another caller here.
Gentleman. Yeah, go ahead. You can take the next call.
Okay. Excuse me, Corey.
Hello, good night.
Yeah, good night. Good night, caller. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. We can hear you loud and clear. I love your voice.
Hearing me?
Yes, you have a great speaking voice. It's loud and clear.
I find I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing you.
You're not hearing me.
Good night, Miss Weeks.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
I can hear you.
Corey.
Yes.
I'm calling because I have some serious things to say. Number one, here we have a prominent problem with the country, and everybody is speaking up and hiding and refusing to confront and deal with the issue. We are seeing some rare things being done. Number one, where you find the Election and Boundaries Commissioner creating problems for the people to vote, creating problems for everything that has happened, where the other party finds itself in a problem to even to get votes. We had them bringing in some people, and one of the people that they brought in made a very bold statement telling the people that why are the boxes being carried from place to place rather than the votes being counted at the said place and the returning officer giving a result. Yet, the day after the election or a few days after the election, this person has been rewarded as being a senator. Can't we see what is going on in our country, in our democracy? These things are very serious and bold things to be done right in front of your face. Are we not going to wake up and get serious and deal with the situation? I would like Mr. Greenidge to tell me what he thinks about this situation.
Yes.
The day that they had a problem at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, the Prime Minister went to the hospital in a hurry. Came back, rather than solving the problem, called an election. Aren't we thinking? Can't we see what is going on? We have a situation where one of the ministers that dealt with the housing, we actually resigned. Election come around, they say, man, back here again and voted in. Is it really that he was voted in? Are we not going to think? How come you step back in and win all your votes and win your seat? Aren't we seeing anything wrong? Isn't this picture being painted in a situation where we should be able to see? I would like to hear some comments on it. This is my take on the whole situation. Have a nice night. I'll listen to what they comment.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Ross. I recognize that voice. Right, go right ahead, Corey.
I will comment on the position of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission and the list in the election. As many of your viewers may know, I sat on the Electoral and Boundaries Commission as a commissioner for 5 years from 2020 until 2025. I will say that the functioning of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission continues to be above board. I will not try to cast any conspiracy theories in terms of the counting of the ballots. I, as a candidate, during the transportation of ballots and the counting of ballots, I myself got on the bus as the bus went and collected the ballot boxes to go to the counting station. It is under police security. All of the candidates have their counting agents there. So the functioning of that process, I don't want to encourage conspiracy theories around that. As it relates to the voters list, we all know that there were challenges to the voters list from quite back last year when they were going through the process of re-registering the population. And we knew that there were challenges up until as late as election day. There were even one of the attorneys within the Democratic Labour Party actually had to file an emergency action in court for four voters to get onto the voters list. So we know there were but I do not believe sincerely that the functioning of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission there was any conspiracy to steal the election, and I don't want us to make the challenges that were in the list, make those challenges so broad based that then we assume that someone has stolen the election or have rhetoric to that effect. There is no evidence of that. What I will say though is that the Electoral and Boundaries Commission now has a responsibility in the intervening period after the election to prepare its report and have that report laid before Parliament, I believe. The Electoral and Boundaries Commission now has a responsibility in this intervening period to ensure that the list is cleaned, ensure that registering officers go into the field and that they're able to do their job on a weekly basis and ensure that by the time that list has to be printed again in January 2027, that they can give an account of a list that is accurate or at least reasonably accurate so that we can have confidence in that process. With respect to the appointment of the former chairperson of the EBC to the Senate, I heard persons speak of that in terms of a reward. Again, don't generally subscribe into ideas of conspiracy. Is it something that may not have been appropriate? One may think so. Is it something that one may raise an eyebrow at? I'm sure. But our laws don't prevent it. The only thing in law that prevents is that a member or certainly the chairman of the Electoral Commission cannot serve in any other constitutional capacity. So, for example, in 2025, then chairman of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Haynes, Leslie Haynes, received the appointment to Chief Justice of Barbados. And on that appointment, as another constitutional position, Mr. Haynes then had to resign as the chairman of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission to take up the position as Chief Justice of Barbados. So I am not one to subscribe to fear mongering as it relates to conspiracy theories. Being part of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission and also being a candidate, I can give my own assessment that I believe that system still works well and that it retains the integrity of our election process. Were there issues? Yes. And I think that the Electoral and Boundaries Commission now has a responsibility to ensure that those issues with the voters list are taken care of and that does not repeat itself. So I just want to encourage voters. Let's not try to look for a boogeyman around every corner and blaming everyone. I think that we as a society and we as a democracy need to be able to encourage our voters to come out and encourage persons to lend their voice to the voting process and bring change where change is needed. Thank you.
We have a caller. Good night, caller.
Good night. Good night. I just have to call again. I will accept Mr. Greenidge's explanation concerning the counting of the vote based on his observation. I would give way to that. But I want to say though that I was told by someone who didn't have to tell me this particular bit of information that there was no reason, told me that a candidate back then, before the election, had paid a member of their family a certain amount of money, and this was to get votes, but she was dissatisfied. Now, Granted, the counting of the vote might have been above board, but what would have happened before might not have been above board or even legal. Because I do not believe that this past election was free and fair.
Okay, thank you, caller. Thanks for
You're
your
welcome.
your call. Thanks. Yes. Any comments there, Corey?
And it's difficult to comment on any
Yeah, that's
one.
why I
Yeah,
said it's difficult because somebody told her, you know.
right.
So
It's
um,
and as in my profession, we try
yeah,
not to.
leave that alone. But Dave, if you look in your WhatsApp, there's a picture there that I want to put up on the screen because you know you said something which is very important. You said that in appointing the EBC chair, and I don't even know if that's correct. Dave, leave that. Let me find the correct picture for you. Yeah, I think I have the correct one now. Just give me a moment. Right, you were saying that you know it's legal. What was done was something that was legal, right? There's nothing wrong with it in terms of legality, but it's perception. And it for me as I consider myself a layperson, I'm not in law or anything like that. I'm not even in politics. It raises concern for me as a voter, Corey, because I'm saying um, you were just the EBC commissioner. And yes, I understand you resigned to take up your role in less than a week as a senator. You know, I think that, you know, things like that affect voter turnout and voter apathy. And it's things like that for me why, I mean, I won't stay home. Before I used to say I would stay home, but I'm not going to do that anymore. But stuff like that, it just rubs me the wrong way. And it's as much as you're telling me it's legal, I would those kinds of things will keep people away from the polls. To be honest,
I'm going to agree with you. And by saying it's legal means that nothing has been done illegally by the appointment of. In other words, it's not prohibited in law. But you are right. And I said it in my previous comments. It's something that may raise eyebrows. It's something that a layperson may question. How is this possible? And maybe I may even say maybe to the prime minister, to the administration, maybe ill-advised even. And I believe they will have to answer for that. But I do not want that the imaginations of the voters run away with them to conspiracies, and to also impugning the character of individuals without any proper evidence to that effect. And anyone that has listened to me on your show or in any other form would understand that I move a very careful line as it relates to causing the idea of conspiracy theories as it relates to public servants. I see the photos that you have up, and you know it. Like I said, it is not prohibited in law. We've had persons move from one arm of government to the next. And again, maybe not appropriate, maybe not by perception, but it will happen. It will happen in our.
yeah. I mean, and we understand that I think, but we have to our public those you know you one day will be in as a public official at some level. Just to say, I mean, for us the voters, things like this that we're seeing before us. I've spoken to people, and it's like they don't believe in it. This is not for them. It says some. It doesn't settle with them. You see, and these are some actions that could cause. I'm just saying. You know,
I would say this. My thought on this recent appointment, I thought having presided over the difficulties with the list, and the difficulties with the administration of the election, my thought is that I would have expected the chairman to see his term out to redeem that perception and
There you
to,
go.
yeah. So my thought is that I thought that it might have been an opportunity for the then chairman to remain and to maybe for a tenure of another 6 months or a year, certainly to the publishing of the next list, to have come to a position where we can comfortably say, listen, we have done the work and we brought it to a place of confidence. So from a perspective and a perception that you presided over what arguably was one of the more difficult elections, and then you just up and you're gone, be that to the Senate or even be that to anywhere else, it does raise some questions. And I do agree that it would raise questions.
Right. Pedro is also raising another point here, and I'm glad that the viewers are being honest, but that's how we're going to get anywhere. One of the things that they talk about a lot on this show, and I learned about it from this show, is that there is some people that the first leaflet that they got from the EBC, supposed to be from the EBC, what was the address was the cabinet office. Is that correct? And then the next one was from the actual EBC. And I think people are seeing a conflict there, Corey.
I did hear of this complaint that the address came from the cabinet office. The EBC does interact and has to interact with the cabinet office on a normal course business, because a lot of the certainly the budget of the EBC, a lot of the proposals, the white papers would go to cabinet office. So there is interaction there. I do not know if that screams of something inappropriate. Maybe ill-advised again, but again, I warn at reading too much into conspiracy theories as to the governance of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Like I said, I have spent 5 years on the commission. I spent on 4 separate occasions as an observer myself in elections across the region, and there are a lot of built-in guardrails, certainly in Barbados, that protect our electoral process. And I do have all confidence in the process, both as a former EBC commissioner as well as a candidate. I can't say that I do not give the process high marks, and I do have confidence in the process. Did we have issues with the list? Yes, but I believe that there's opportunity to correct those issues in the coming year or so.
Okay. We have a caller on the line. Good night, caller.
Hi, good night, Marcia. Good night good night to Corey.
Good night.
I just want to ask a question, Corey. First of all,
can you speak up a little bit for us, caller?
Yeah, I just want to ask a few questions.
We're not hearing you very clearly. We're not hearing you. I think it's your turn up your phone. Oh yes, it's sounding better already. Yeah. Go ahead, caller.
I'm just saying thank you to Corey for basically giving us some transparency and from where you sit. Also, I'm also taking it with a pinch of salt, because being a part of the process, you can't be too critical of it, because that would be a bit hypocritical. But I want to ask you some questions, because my mind is not comfortable with the answers that you're giving. And it's because we, as Barbadians, used to set very high standards for ourselves. And as a former Commonwealth, you would know, there's no such thing as a former Commonwealth. We wear that badge with honor, continuously through life. There's a reason for having that pride and having that belonging. It is what is ingrained in you. So integrity has to be a huge part of everything that you're going to do. How long would it actually take? Had we paused the election on January 1st? How long would it have taken ECB without killing themselves and working overtime to complete the list to 80% completion? 80% completion, I would believe. You're never going to get a perfect list. Something will happen every day. How long will it take for the list to be completed to 80%? A time frame based on your experience?
Okay, thank you, caller. And let me just say, it's 10:08, I know there's so many questions out there, but this is actually the last call for the night, and we will have to arrange.
One more question. One more question you can answer as well.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
In terms of it being a no, there's no opposition clearly, as we currently state. Is this not a chance for the Barbados government to offer referendums to the country? Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Yes, over to you, Mr. Greenidge, as we close out with this last
Yes.
question.
Very quickly, I do want to clear up one thing because I want to make sure that I represent my alma mater properly. Now, I am a St. Michael's schoolboy. I attended Commonwear for sixth form, and it was a very good 2 years.
Politics, man.
But I never, anyone that knows me know that I always make sure everyone know that I went to the St. Michael's School. I was a former head boy of the St. Michael's School. I'm very proud of my time there. I'm very proud of my time at the Commonwear School as well. But just to make sure that I clear up that with respect to my alma mater. The question about the timing to correct the list is a difficult question to answer. What I can tell you is what normally pertains. Here now, after the election, in the intervening period, the registering officers will go around on a weekly basis and continue to update the list, continue to verify addresses, verify persons. And that process happens over 1, 2, 3 years, to the extent that by the time you get to the next election, that the list the veracity of the list you can stand behind the list, as it were. And I imagine that is what the EBC will do as we go forward. I think during the COVID period, it made it difficult. And then during the time of the Trident ID card, there was some changes in the policy at that point in time. And I think that is what eventually resulted in a list that had some challenges. So once the writ for the election has been issued, there's not a lot to be done in order to bring the list to the place. It really needs to be something that's done prior to the calling of the election. So I imagine that during this intervening period, that EBC will be working assiduously to get that list correct. The final question the voter asked, I wasn't clear what the voter was asking exactly. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the question was. But maybe you have another opportunity to speak.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Greenidge. We've gone over time.
Sure.
And we appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. Thank you. And all the very best to you and the Democratic Labour Party, to Mr. Ralph Thorne, and for putting together such a wonderful candidate list.
Yes.
He did an amazing job. And we hope to see you all at the appreciation. I really hope that you guys could come, because it's the people that you see here.
Yes.
That they ask for it, and nobody's sponsoring it but the people.
Good. Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. I haven't been on for the year. I think this is my first time for the year. And thank you so much for having me. I did my RSVP today, so I will be at the appreciation dinner. And I look forward to spending the time with those persons that we're working so hard to represent. So thank you so much, and good seeing you again.
Yes, good. Thank you. God bless.
God bless you.
Yes. Bye-bye. Oh boy, that was wonderful. And you see the Democratic Labour Party, those of you who are so worried, they are back in the field. Some have gone back in the field. Corey's saying he's going back next week. There are others who are there already. And we want to thank Mr. Ralph Thorne for what he was able to accomplish. They did not expect that they were going to have this kind of quality, the quality of the candidates, and that is kudos to a great leader, Ralph Thorne. You have done an amazing job. Dave, if you could just put up, as we're closing, the appreciation dinner. Now, that idea came from you guys, and we're talking big. We're having this dinner. How many of you, before we close, stay with me 2 minutes now, stay with me 2 minutes. How many of you, before we close, believe that this was a good, the idea of the appreciation dinner? I mean, lunch. It's a lunch now. It's a great idea. It's going to be, Dave, if you can put it up on the screen, it's going to be on the 15th of March. and it's 12:30 at Palm Marine, all right? And if you want to support that, you say, you know what, it's an idea that came from the loyal opposition, not from me, came from you guys. It's an idea that came, and I want to give towards that. I don't want the candidates to have to pay to come. It's going to be a nice lunch, well catered, beautiful setting, wonderful speeches, encouragement. We want to be able to give them a little token, to encourage them. And somebody says, why aren't you doing it? Why is the loyal opposition not doing it for the other candidates? All you've got to do is to listen to the parliament today. Yesterday. Listen what happened there. Yeah? Listen to what happened in the parliament yesterday. It was the candidates and Mr. Thorne. They keep hammering away on them. And a lot of them, it's been through so much emotionally being part of this. And so we want to, somebody saying it's a great idea, wonderful idea. If you think it's wonderful, you think it's great, and you can help us to make that possible, this is it here. One is that you can attend, and it's $100 to attend if you're attending, or you can say, Marcia, I want to pay for a candidate. I want to pay for a candidate, Marcia. Here's $500. $500 can pay for 5 candidates. Help us to do that. All right. I thought long and hard about bringing it to you. I was trying to do it quietly underneath. And as I prayed about it today, I thought, no, Marcia, come, do what you normally do. And be honest with the people. We're doing this and we don't have all the funds yet, but it's going to happen because we are people of faith. All right. As Corey says, we're optimistic. All right. We're optimistic people. And so it's going to happen. And so you might say, I want to donate some money towards this to make sure those 30 candidates are taken care of very, very well. All right. So it's a thank you and appreciation. Give me a call, folks. Give me a call. I know you're going to call me, 236-7000. Let's make sure every candidate is able to be there. All right. And nothing from their pockets. All right. Yes. Wonderful. I know you're going to call me. God bless you all. I love you so much. And I will see you on Friday. Miss McLean is going to be coming back, folks. And, she was on the EBC, and so she couldn't come on. But elections are over. And so she told me she's ready again. And so she will be back with us on Sunday. Those of you who are asking for Rose, Rose is going to be back at some point. She has to tell me when. And the others they're catching themselves. They will be right here with us. Okay. I love you all. Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Thank you. God bless you.
Baila, baila, rise up, baila, baila, rise up, baila, baila, rise up, baila, 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 rise up, baila, baila, rise up, baila, baila, rise up, baila, baila, rise up, my people, see the morning light. Rise up, stronger together, never will claim our right. Together, we strong. Hearts united, hope burning bright. This is our moment, our future in sight. We've walked the valleys, we faced the storm. Still we are standing, proud and strong. With every trial, we've grown in grace. Now is the time, let us take our place. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up. We never tire, no, we never quit. Our dreams are alive, we are made for this. With faith unshaken, our voices sing. Barbados rising, let freedom ring. From east to west, from coast to town, coast to town. Our island spirit will not back down, never down. Hand in hand, we'll build anew. The promise of tomorrow shining through. A better tomorrow, the future is near. Hope in our hearts, no place for fear. God bless Barbados, we'll shine forever. Our turn is here, we rise together. A better tomorrow, the future is near. Hope in our hearts, no place for fear. God bless Barbados, we'll shine forever. Our turn is here, we rise together. We are one, we are one, we are strong, we are strong. Steadfast in belief, in love and peace, Barbados our song. We are one, we are one, we are strong, we are strong. Steadfast in belief, in love and peace, Barbados our song. Go on, baby, baby, lift up your voice, let the whole world know our light is bright, it will always glow. Forever bound by this land we love, Barbados blessed by God above.